Hello, everybody, and welcome to once again SkepTalk on the line. And I'm joined today by Luxander, who may be unfamiliar to some of the SkepTalk audience, as she normally does the thing on the transatlantic call-in show. Luxander, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Usually if anybody over here,
this is my first meeting too. Well,
this is our first time doing a show together. So just a short introduction, I guess. We actually did do something for the RFR last year, I think. So we were technically on a call together, but this is our first time actually getting to like chit chat. But if you guys follow us on Thursdays, you'll know I'm on the Transatlantic Call-In Show damn near every week sometimes, it feels like. But I'm kind of getting to be on some of the other shows right now. I'm primarily, I guess, like a trans activist. I'm non-binary. I use it/they pronouns. It's so weird. We never do pronoun introductions on TACIS. It feels like maybe we should do that, but we never do. So it's a little awkward. But yeah, I have been in the atheist community since. I mean, really, I've been doing atheist activism since before I even knew I was trans. So I was a teenager out there, having my thoughts about religion and us, that strong anti-theist phase that I've kind of fallen out of, not because I believe things differently, but because it's just like a lot of work. And there's other things that also require a lot of work that are a little bit more pressing. So I'm just more focused on the disability activism and trans activism. And yeah, catch me on TACIS damn near every week. But today it's SkepTalk.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to join me for this, because I don't normally talk about trans issues. It's not my topic. It's not something I know a hell of a lot about. As I have to explain to people all the time, I'm one of the most binary people you'll ever run into. I remember when I was a young man, and somebody on MTV said that by the year 2025, then everybody will be bi. I'm like, well, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I'm and it turns out that I'm kind of an oddity in that I am so binary.
Mm.
Which is, I if I wasn't, I would have more options on a Saturday night. I'm completely open to that. But I try to enjoy, some of the finer things. I've tried every type of whiskey. I'm just not a whiskey guy. I tried to like sushi, just can't do it. So,
understandable.
Yeah, I know what I like. But anyway, I made a video recently based on a series of arguments that I was seeing online that just irritated the crap out of me, wherein I talk about things about trans rights. And one of the things that I always see come up are declarations of or insistence that trans people produce objectively verifiable biological justification for their position. And I thought, well, I've seen a number, and I've heard a number of arguments, and I've read a number of things. I'm probably know more about this than most binary people do. But it had occurred to me that while it seems that trans people could produce objective verification of this type of category if they need to, do they need to? Because my take on this was that freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right to pursuit of happiness, all that kind of shit. Why the fuck are we upset about it? And there was somebody on Facebook somewhere who reacted violently to that, and I let them know that I was going to be on the show tonight. So you want to, they kept challenging me. You debate. Let's discuss this live. I'll trash you. Really? Okay.
Do it then.
So yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm going to be on this show. Call in show. I don't have a call in show, but you can do this one and call in. Well, no, because you're going to have control of the mute button. Here's the thing, and they demanded equal time. And they demanded another format. I said, no, you can call in tonight. No, I'm not going to call in because you've got control of the mute button, coward. It's not even my show. I invited you. You said you would trash me if it was live. I'm going to be live. Come on and trash me. Right? But no. It's only if we have equal time and he has control of the mute button. If you're worried about the mute button, it's because you already know you don't have a valid argument. If I need to explain something to you to get a point across, give me a couple of minutes to do that. Then we can discuss it. I don't need to do a formal debate. Just give me a moment to explain my position. There you go. I've got a couple of minutes. If it's complicated, it might take 5 or 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Right? Let me explain it do the justifications for the argument, and then we can discuss it. I think that the way that debates are handled when they're on stage, two people on stage doing a performance, it is a performance.
Yeah.
And that's what I think takes a lot of it out. Because how do you end up with two people talking past each other to an audience? They're not talking to each other. They are making no attempt at all to reason with each other. Mm-hmm. And so for me, these performance debates, these live debates, don't actually become real until you get the audience participation. When you get into the Q&A, that's when you understand what the people really have, because now it's not in prepared presentations. Now you actually have to engage. So if I have a valid argument, I only need a couple of minutes, or I can block out how many minutes exactly I will need to make my argument, to make my case. If I know that I don't have a valid argument, if all I want to do is spit venom against the people I hate, then I will refuse to come on when they've got control of the mute button. Then I will demand equal time. Only when I know that I'm a piece of shit that just wants to hate on people.
People truly are just like trying to get a megaphone on here sometimes. And they do, like, Arden will leave on, she can mute them in one program, but not the other, so that she can mute them for the stream, but she can still see their levels going. And some of them will just continue talking over us. And it's like, okay, well, you clearly weren't here to learn, because I view it, at least on TACIS, as like, we are subject matter experts. And I get that that's kind of what SkepTalk is. Part of why I didn't really expect to be on SkepTalk is because I envision it in my head as like, that's where the biologists are. I am not a biologist, so I'm probably not going to be there. But I do expect people to come to the Transatlantic show with like some amount of humility, that I am here to explain something that I know more about than they do. And it's like the hubris with which people approach me is crazy.
We have a call, and I really want to get to this call, but you brought up an important point. And that is that you have to have some level of expertise. So having you on and inviting somebody to call in if they want to argue this, they look at it as, oh, you got somebody to tag team with you. Well, the important thing is, I am a science advocate. I believe in peer review. The thing that matters is not that you get equal time to lie all you want to, so that the other person then only has so long to try to correct all your lies and then give the correct information on top of after correcting the lies. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's unnecessary burden. What matters is that we have fact checkers in place for everybody in real time, right? So this is why I prefer written debates, because then everybody can like, nope, what they said here is factually false. Here's the actual data, whatever, because that's what matters, right? The truth matters more than anything. So if I get something wrong, fucking correct me, right? That's what I want. But the person who wants to argue with me does not want a fact checker, because they know they're full of shit already. They don't need somebody to tell them that. And so that just ruins their whole ability to argue.
Yeah, that's how you know you're honest, when you don't want a fact checker.
Yeah, so I do want to get to this first call. We have, and it's a good topic too, we have a theist online ready to go. Look, we've got two theists in a row. This is outstanding. But first, we're going to talk to Greg in Michigan. And that the question is, if I am reading this right, can logic prove God? Greg, can you hear us?
Yes, Aron and Luxander, it's Mr. Positive. Hey, I got to ask you, and this is just for levels of instruction. When we talk about God, we're forming a concept. And a concept for me, Aron and Luxander, is the integration of two or more units, omitting their measurement. And when I talk about units, I'm talking about the physical realm, things that are necessarily tangible. Because of that definition, other than mathematics, can anybody prove God in the empirical, natural realm? And that would be my question.
Okay, well, that's different than the one you posed here, because you're now asking if you can use empirical evidence to prove God, whereas the original question was, can logic prove God? Those are very different. And I would say that both are possible. Certainly logic should be able to do it, even if empiricism cannot, or even if evidence cannot. However, I would say that if there was a God, there would be evidence of it. Even if he's spiritual, he's removed from... No. Every time the Supreme Being reaches his arm into the material plane, he would pull it out dripping with physics. He would leave residue. If he's going to affect some physical change, then there's a trace of it.
Yeah, I would say that like the presentation of, like, I feel like if you're going to assert something about the universe as profound as God exists, then the kind of onus is on you to produce like at least a solid logical argument. And like, but even a solid logical argument is not going to be persuasive to people who still prioritize like some kind of material impact on the universe, or at the very minimum to say that it does not matter if it cannot be physically measured. Like, okay, so there is no point to believing in God if it is not measurable in some way, in my opinion. So it's like, why, like a logical argument for the existence of God would probably not be sufficient, in my opinion.
Okay, well, could we posit that only logic outside of mathematics, logic can only be applicable in the material realm? So anybody positing... Okay.
I mean, logic by definition is not necessarily exclusively material.
Okay. So it's not necessarily material. So it would be the only between material and mathematical realm? The ideological realm?
If God had the ability to completely hide himself physically, which means he can't affect change, he can't answer prayers, he can't do anything you want him to do. Because for him to do something, he's going to have to affect physical change. And there's a word for when you have supernatural powers or entities that evoke changes in natural phenomena. Do you know what that word is? Magic.
No.
Yeah, that's what the word is. So supernatural affecting the material, that's magic. So God would have to use his magic, and we would be able to trace that. There are ways that would happen. But even if God could completely hide himself and be a deistic God, right? He started the universe and then sat back, lit up a stogie, and didn't do a damn thing after that. We would still have... logic would still apply, even if physical evidence doesn't. Did we lose the caller?
Do we still have you, Greg? We have this happen sometimes where like people's phone falls asleep while they're on the web caller. But
that's
also
weird.
Apparently this person may have been banned recently. Or Matt may have been like, don't ever call back. And then he didn't actually get banned.
Oh, he got banned last night.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Neat.
All right. Well, then I'm going to have to drop that call. Sorry. Okay. And I'm afraid to hit the call drop button again because one time I did that and we lost everything.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
God.
Yep. There we go. Please drop the call without dropping. Damn it. Morgan. It happened again.
Ready to connect. Click connect to show now. You are connected as the host.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's back.
Are we still up? Are we still up?
All set.
Okay, good. All right. So we should now... I think we're talking to Martin in Arizona. He is a theist, and the question posed here is electromagnetic energy proves we're all part of one thing. I agree. That's called the cosmos. Martin, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So elaborate on your question, please.
Basically, I want to say that, like, I believe that every religion and theology came from sun worship knowledge that's now black body radiation knowledge, and it's the knowledge of atomic spectra and how transition frequencies transition through the atomic spectra, and it encompasses all matter, all energy, everything that we know of, basically. And where am I going with this? Okay, so basically, what the point of this is that to raise people's frequency levels to get to their right and left hemisphere to meet with their pineal gland, and then they can become more enlightened to what's happening. Basically, an ego kind of blind us to everything that's happening.
So you're a fan of Lovecraft, are you?
Carl Jung's Opening Up of the Egg comes from Epic of Gilgamesh, actually. Even Plato's Allegory of the Cave, all these shadow self movies with Fight Club or Black Swan or Revolver or You, Me, and Irene. These are all black body knowledge about the shadow self and about how this spectrum relates to everything.
Okay, and how do we know that any of this is real?
Well, you can Google, actually, can Lorentz forces control particle movement? And then you can ask, can humans create Lorentz forces with technology or in the inner ear? And
okay, you're going to have to re-describe
yeah,
whatever the hell it is you're talking about and how it's germane to what we're talking about.
The Lorentz force can control particle movement. This is an electromagnetic force, and we are electromagnetic beings, and we can actually tap into this. And that's what they're actually hiding in the Bible. That's why they don't talk about the tree of life. It's talked about in other.
They do talk
well,
about.
They don't
the
talk
tree of
about.
life.
They don't really talk about how to do Kundalini or how to access. This is what the cross is about: crossing two opposite energy levels. The further the gap between two energy levels, the higher frequency the photon. Matter and antimatter make light. These are two opposites of the spectrum. When they cross, they make power. There's no power without division.
Okay, and what does any of this have to do with whether there's a God or the Bible? You brought up the Bible. What the fuck does this have to do with the Bible?
I guess you could. There's a lot of steganography in the Bible, like Jesus on the two donkeys, for example. Those would be the id and ego that he's riding. He's the pineal gland, or I don't know if you know about the 45-degree polarized light.
What the fuck does any of this have to do with the pineal gland? This is when
because you're raising energy levels to get to it,
and that love was in their stomach.
So we are at like redshift. Everything's at the red spectrum, the longest, slowest wavelength. You want to get the blue shift where the blue sixth chakra is, and it meets the pineal gland, and that's where the compression of the wavelengths are shorter, and you can see more. You can see what's happening.
Luxander, I don't know. Maybe if you had some edibles before the show started, maybe you might be able to connect with this guy.
I smoke tons of weed, dude. I smoke tons of weed.
I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with this is being. I mean, you can Google all this stuff, man. It's not like you have to like study anything. You can just Google it. But you guys refuse to Google too. You can't even Google.
I can't even Google. I can't even Google.
Why won't you Google what I'm saying?
I've never heard of until this minute. I mean, you've made a bunch of baseless assertions that they hide the pineal gland in the Bible, which is why they don't talk about what they do.
I didn't say they hide it in the Bible.
You're talking a bunch of bullshit and complaining that I won't Google it.
Martin, can I give you some advice?
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Hold on real quick.
I'm sorry.
I muted myself by accident, and I couldn't be heard by anybody. That was my bad.
No,
my neighbor was being loud.
You kick me off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Martin. I just want to give you some advice, man. I really appreciate how much you love seeing the connections between things, and how much you love looking into the symbolism of things. And I think you should read A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, if you are interested in universes that have really intricate connections between events and like, weird stuff that you can dig into to find the truth underneath what is being, portrayed on the surface, then yeah, like totally, I get it. I love media analysis, and I highly recommend that you read A Song of Ice and Fire, because it's like,
I actually already found all the answers, and I'm trying to fucking give it to you people for free, like no work's done, but people won't even
yeah,
listen, and
it's
crazy.
just hard to
Like,
follow.
I can tell
I
As
asked
your
you 3 or 4
sentences are word
questions.
salad.
I asked
You're just
you
I
3
throwing
or
out
4
fire
words.
is
questions.
because Blue Diamond. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. I asked you
I'm
3
sorry.
or 4 questions. You know what your answer to all 4 questions was? Google it. And then you gave me Google cues that did not match what you were talking about.
Well, like what?
You started this thing by saying that all religions were based on electromagnetism. I was a little confused
No,
at that
they're
stage.
black body radiation, sun worship. All religions came from sun worship because they all hid the same knowledge about the chakra ascensions in it.
Druidism did not come from sun worship.
I can guarantee
Neither
it
did
did.
animism. Neither did Buddhism or Jainism.
Actually, it does, though. It does, because they talk about the chakra ascensions. This is what I'm talking is black body
Not
radiation
all of them
knowledge.
talk about chakras. Chinese traditional religion does not talk about chakras.
Okay.
You have to go into newer,
I'm sorry.
a more
lied.
new age religion to start getting into that.
I lied because I didn't know, but I'm telling you, most of them do hide this information. Maybe not all of them.
Okay, where is it hidden?
It's called steganography, and it's basically like this stuff on TV shows. It's basically
so now we're
hidden
go watch
messages in music, movies, and TV. I'm sorry, what's that?
I'm looking up steganography. The art or science of concealing a message within another message or physical object. Oh, secret codes. Where you've got to cover one eye and read between the lines.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you need your secret decoder ring to figure out what it. Like, you only read every third letter.
Have you ever heard of hemisync?
What?
Hemisync.
Is that where you go to the left side of the paragraph and just take the first letter of every word on the left side of the paragraph and make words out of it?
Sure.
So that's how you're reading the Bible, is it?
Well, have you heard of HOSA 4 through 6? My people suffer for their lack of knowledge. It's basically like you people are suffering from your lack of knowledge. I'm sorry, but you're not connecting the dots. Like they're right in front of your face. We have power.
Okay, show me the connection of the dots. When you said the Bible doesn't talk about the tree of life, I can show you where it does.
I'm not saying, what I'm saying is it doesn't enlighten you about how to use it. It does talk about it. I didn't say it doesn't talk about it. I said it doesn't tell you how to use it or do anything with it.
You're telling me that the Bible has all these secret messages hidden in it. And I just want to be completely honest. When we get another theist caller, I'm dropping this call. Because this is nonsense.
Oh, that's fine. You can drop it right now, man. It's okay. I don't care. I'm trying to give you guys free knowledge. It's whatever, man. You
have to know something before you can give knowledge away.
Okay, so I don't know anything, and you don't want to hear it. So that's all there is.
No, I didn't say I didn't want to hear it. I asked questions you won't answer or can't answer.
Oh,
so
please ask.
How
I'm
is
sorry.
this?
Did I?
Okay. How is this hidden in? But where is it hidden?
It's hidden all over. It's hidden in everything you've watched and heard.
Show me a place. Show me a place in the Bible.
Did I tell you about Jesus and the two donkeys? Did Jesus and two donkeys?
What does that have to do with the pineal gland?
Because it's 45-degree polarized light. The pineal gland sits in between the right and left hemisphere. Id and ego are the two donkeys. So he's sitting in between. And if you see the 45-degree polarized light, no light gets through until a third filter goes in between at a 45-degree angle, and then the light shines through both of them. This is how our universe works.
Let me ask you an important question. You're referring to the Bible actually does talk about the tree of life. It talks about the tree of life in Genesis 3. And I think Genesis.
I'm aware. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. We know that is just a fable. There's not even a kernel of truth to that story. Not at all. Not a bit. Adam and Eve are entirely
it's in every.
There was no global flood of Noah's Ark. We know that the Tower of
7
Babel did not happen the way it was described. We know that the
Have
Exodus
you heard?
didn't happen when, where, or how it was described. Okay? So the Bible got
Have you
all
heard
these
of the
things
Seven
wrong.
Sisters
If
of
the Bible
Dreamtime? Have
gets,
you heard of the
if
Seven
the
Sisters of
Bible gets,
Dreamtime?
if the Bible gets all of the overt stories completely wrong, what value is the secret coded messages?
What value is it? It'll let you
Yeah.
know who and what you are and what you're capable of.
How does it do that when if I'm reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Can we have the coded message in Goldilocks and the Three Bears? Will it work there too?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so the story
It's in all
can be
fables.
completely false, and the only way that it makes sense is if you read it through the secret symbolism that you use.
You can say it's false all you want, but it can actually be put to use. Like it has been put to use. It's
No, it
actually in all
hasn't.
your technology. All your technology runs
Okay.
off this information.
No, it doesn't, and I cannot even
Yeah, it
entertain you
does.
anymore.
Google this.
Goodbye.
Google, would you have your technology
Goodbye.
as we know it without black body radiation? No, you wouldn't.
Why can we never get somebody who identifies as a theist to give an actual argument? Somebody sincere.
Why are they
Okay.
so weird? Just be more normal. It's like, dude, at least on Transatlantic, we get to have like actual conversations about like biological facts and like, yeah, let's fucking have the sports argument. I'll do it again. Watch me. And like, but I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I can't even like interject because I'm like, I can feel my brain turning into soup listening. And this happened when I was on Matt too. What is it about the two of you who attracts these kinds of people?
It is a frustrating thing. I'm upset right now because we don't have any callers in the queue. Call in. If you disagree with me about anything, call me. Tell me what you disagree with and why, please. If you disagree with Luxander, I'll sit back and listen to the conversation. Have at us, please. Do we have the number posted somewhere? Because I don't see it right now.
So the
Yes,
number
we do.
is 720.
Yeah,
go ahead.
619-2288. Or the web link in the description. So give us a call. In the meantime, Luxander, I guess we're just going to chat amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
I am ever on. I'm always on social media, and I am always looking for a sincere person, somebody who believes what they do because they honestly think it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find that. Every believer I run across, every one of them, they will start lying to me, knowing that they're lying to defend what they want to make believe, knowing that it's not true. And on some occasions, these people will admit it to me, that they know it's not true, but they're going to believe it anyway.
That's impressive.
Or they say something. William Jennings Bryan, who was in the Scopes Monkey trial, he was a fundamentalist Christian. He was like the prosecutor in that trial. And he said that if under oath, he said, if the Bible said that Jonah swallowed the whale, I would believe it.
Cool.
So there's an admission that it has nothing to do with logic or facts and evidence. It's not at all a remotely rational position. That is an admission. It's no matter how insane it is, they're going to believe it because the Bible said it.
Yeah.
Another minister said in a documentary called I think it was Discovering Darwin or Questioning Darwin, one of the two. He said if somewhere in the Bible it were to say that 2 + 2 = 5, I wouldn't question what I'm reading in the Bible. I would believe it and try to understand it. Another admission. Religious belief is entirely irrational. This is not a position someone can rationally come to honestly. You can't do it. The only way you could believe this honestly is because you haven't had the questions. You haven't talked to somebody that knows fuck all about anything. You've only listened to the echo chamber. You've listened to your minister and their propaganda. That's the only way you can believe this. Get into an argument with someone like me, we're going to overturn your world. And this is the problem I have. I don't ever find sincere believers. They won't even engage. They just lie.
That is interesting. I wonder how much that extends to other things as well. Like, I think that this is the fundamental difference between me and many other people is that for me, like, it's perfect to be on SkepTalk because skepticism literally is the foundation from which all other beliefs and morals in my life flow from. So like, it just seems very strange to me that there are people who are like, it's one thing for them to be like, I can pretend that this knowledge doesn't exist, and therefore if I don't learn about it, then I can just kind of pretend it doesn't exist, versus like being directly confronted with opposing knowledge, or like knowledge that would demand you change your mind, if you were intellectually honest and consistent in that way. It's I guess I don't interact with as many people who are just straight up like, I choose not to. Like, I try to pin people down when we're on like transatlantic, we talk about like the kids transitioning thing all the time, right? And people come in with, like, kids shouldn't be able to do this, blah, blah, blah. And my example that I frequently go to is like, should we not allow 5-year-olds to start ballet? Because ballet changes your bone structure in a way that even if you quit after a few years, for the rest of your life, you will have, like, doctors will be able to tell, and you may have pain and dysfunction. Therefore, should children not be allowed to become ballet dancers? And people, it's like I'm trying to pin them down into just being willing to say, yeah, I think that being trans is fundamentally different. And so often they don't want to admit that they just have a belief that you shouldn't be trans. So they want to weasel out of it a lot. So I almost like respect people who are, just willing to say, like, the classic Ken Ham, Bill Nye debate, when Ken Ham was like, no, there's nothing that would there's no evidence that would change my mind about the Bible just ever. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for admitting that.
Yep, that's another important admission that this is not a rational position. Religious belief is not rational. When Ken Ham has decided that, and he's said this a number of times, not just during the Bill Nye debate, but he said it in other venues where he said that no amount of physical evidence will ever change his mind. He can have all the proof there is that what he believes is wrong, and he's going to believe it anyway.
Yep.
And why wouldn't he? He makes $20 million a year telling these stupid lies.
Yeah. Having scruples is not going to make you rich.
$20 million a year, I could tell lies like, no, I really can't. That's why.
Yeah. I would be so much more successful if I was willing to lie all the time. I could be the world's most famous detransitioner, and I just won't do it. It's terrible having morals.
All right. Well, let me check, see if anybody has called in. Y'all should call in. Okay, we do have someone here. I'm just going to take this call and then read it. Are we talking with Amir in the UK?
Hello, hi,
Amir.
Aaron. Hi, Luxander.
All right, it's all right. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Right.
I'm a returning caller. I think I'm a returning caller, and we actually had a conversation before, Aaron, and we were discussing the contingency argument. I'm a massive proponent of the contingency argument. I was just hoping that we could possibly get into a little bit more detail and hash out a bit more.
The contingency argument, that's where whatever exists is contingent on something else, depends on the existence of something else. And so you're looking for the thing that isn't contingent on any other thing. And so if I determine that in a physical universe where there was never nothing, there had to have always been something, therefore dead, inanimate, unthinking matter is material energy, is the eternal, non-contingent thing, then your argument would be that means that the immaterial matter is your immaterial God?
Aaron, riddle me this, riddle me that. Sorry, we're going to have to break that down. Are you suggesting that...
I got into a discussion with a handful of Muslims who wanted to talk about, they were doing this argument, and they wanted, I forget how they phrased it, the primary being, ultimate being, required being, whatever the fuck it was. And they told me that it didn't actually have to be a being, a necessary being. Well, in a material universe, a material universe has to have material, right? That's necessary. It's not a material universe without material. And I knew where they were going with this. And so I talked inanimate, unthinking, dead matter So unthinking, dead matter, they turned into, oh, that's a necessary being. That means that you believe in an immaterial, eternal, living God. Dirt equals God. And it wasn't even dirt. I'm just talking about, like a singularity of, but yeah, essentially dirt equals God. And, oh, we've owned you. We got you to admit that dirt is God.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not going to be pursuing that particular line of argument. So, yeah, I mean, perhaps I can break down the contingency argument and just say a series of premises and then kind of leading to a conclusion, and we can start talking about certain premises or the conclusion from it.
I find something else much more interesting. What do you believe in God? Because it doesn't say here if you're a theist, which it ought to be on here. Yes, it says the last thing, and not the first thing. It says I'm a theist. You do not believe because you were 14-year-old rational skeptical science student, and then somebody told you the contingency argument, and oh yeah, dirt equals God. That didn't happen. You didn't adopt a belief because of that. Because that doesn't happen to anybody. That argument never, ever worked. You should stop using it. Why do you believe?
It's an aggregation of arguments, and I've been back and forth. I was a diehard atheist.
Arguments, really? Was there ever a time when somebody told you that a magic invisible man exists and you said, really, prove it, and then they explained it to you with an argument and that convinced you?
Yeah, but it wasn't caricatured as a magical, flying entity.
I realize you wouldn't understand that, of course, the God is a magical anthropomorphic immortal. I get that. But you would think that everything happens because there's some cosmic script writer that makes it all happen?
Again, not to trivialize it in that way.
Well, I don't know how else to present it. It's a ridiculous argument, and I don't have any respect for it. But however you want to phrase it, you think that things happen because of cause and effect, and then somebody else comes along and says, no, telekinesis from a disembodied mind. Whatever, however you phrase that you can say, hey, I wish I had $1 million, and you just suddenly find $1 million in your pocket. However this happens, or you think that it happens, what convinced you that it was real?
The reason why I believe in God is an aggregation of arguments such as the contingency argument, the fine-tuning argument, the first cause argument, etc. And I think...
No, it isn't.
Sorry?
Nope. You do not believe in God because of these ridiculous arguments. When there's not a logically valid argument ever, when all of when either the premises are all flawed and the conclusion is a non sequitur, then those arguments did not convince you. You already believed because you were raised to believe. There was never a time when you were a science-minded skeptic who knew anything and then was presented with this idea as rational thinking.
That's simply not true. As I mentioned,
that's absolutely
true. As you continue to interrupt, Aaron, which I know you like to do. As I mentioned, I was a diehard atheist throughout the most part of my life, and the reason why I believe
diehard atheist.
I was intellectually persuaded. Aaron, you have to get into the habit of not cutting off your. I just let you speak for the best part of about 5 minutes, and you just continue to interrupt. So you got to chill out on that.
Right.
Otherwise, we're not having a dialogue. We're having a monologue. So please just keep your rant contained a little bit. Okay. Now we can continue to hash it out. I will just make a side note to everything.
Finished and then yell bollocks.
I will just make a side note to what you're saying. First and foremost, are you suggesting that people who believe in God are somehow devoid of intelligence? They're just intellectually inferior to theists? Is that what you are therefore suggesting?
No, they're deceived.
So for the people
you can also be confused.
So let's just take someone like William Lane Craig, who I would regard as an intellectual in this regard.
And deceiver.
Would you say that if he is someone who has arrived at the conclusion that God exists through intellectual inquiry, how can you say he is deceived?
He didn't, and he admitted that. He didn't, and he admitted that.
So
he believes in God only because he wants to. He said, he said if there was a 1 in a million chance that this could be true, that'd be great. So he's going to say that it is true, even though it's a 1 in a million chance. That's like saying that I won the lottery. I haven't checked my ticket yet, but I know I won the lottery. What? Because I want to believe it. If there's a 1 in a million chance, that would be great. So I'm going to believe it. So I'm going to tell everybody that I won the lottery. I haven't checked the ticket. 1 in a million chance. I might have. So I'm going to say it's true. That's William Lane Craig. Completely irrational argument.
There are countless theists. Putting aside William Lane Craig, you can take John Lennox, for example, who are intellectually.
You really want to bring up John Lennox with me? Have you seen my recent playlist on him?
No.
In the last month, I did 5 or 6 videos on John Lennox, all from one lecture. It took 6 videos or 5 or 6 at least, to tear apart one lecture from him. I was deeply disappointed because I thought he was a celebrated thinker at one time. And then I heard him speak. I'm like, damn, this boy's dumb.
You genuinely, hand on heart, think John Lennox is stupid?
Yes. And I've got 5 or 6 videos to explain exactly how.
And you regard him as stupid just because of his conviction in believing in God?
No, it's his lack of logic in getting there or being able to find his way out of there.
So, the lack of logic in getting there. Let's just say, for example, Matt Dillahunty had a debate not long ago with Alex O'Connor, who's also an atheist, and they were debating veganism. And in that debate, just let me finish my point. Aaron, just let me finish the point. I know, okay, that's great. Great to hear that you guys are friends. Now, the general consensus of that debate was that Matt Dillahunty got owned. He got absolutely obliterated. And even though I'm not a vegan, Alex O'Connor was able to intellectually completely destroy Matt Dillahunty in that debate. And that is the general consensus of people who watched the debate as well. Now, do you therefore believe that Matt Dillahunty, because just let me finish the question, Aaron. Do you therefore regard Matt Dillahunty as being stupid because his faculties of logic in this instance of this debate was just so much inferior to Alex O'Connor? Would you therefore say that's the case?
No, I would state it correctly. If the consensus, in fact, was that Alex O'Connor won the debate, I didn't see the debate. I don't even know what you're talking about. But it is ridiculous and infantile to say that Matt was destroyed or obliterated. If Matt himself is not aware that he even lost the debate, if in fact he lost, then how exactly was he destroyed or obliterated? He's still out there. He's still doing his thing. He doesn't even know that he lost. In what sense is that a destruction or obliteration?
The fact that he doesn't know that he lost would probably add credence to the fact that he's stupid, going by your logic, right? If the general consensus across the board from people who are spectators, no, it does, Aaron. It does. You see, the fact is that you are saying that John Lennox is stupid because you are saying, let me finish the point. You are saying that John Lennox is stupid because of his beliefs in God and the reasons that he uses to justify it.
I would like to draw a distinction here. I just want to bring the temperature down ever so slightly. I think that there is a distinction to be made here between Matt Dillahunty and Aron and I were just talking about how we think the debate is a performance. It's for entertainment. It is not necessarily going to convince anyone. It is not necessarily reflective of anyone's true beliefs or their like any true logical form. It is just entertainment, and there is a winner and a loser. It's a spectator sport, right? So I don't think that's really comparable to then saying like this other person, like that. I might say like I have doubts about their ability to apply critical thinking rather than just say they're stupid. But like I follow the same train of logic here though, which is that like I do genuinely question sometimes people who are believers. And for different reasons do I question where they're coming from. But like, I think that there's a distinction to be drawn there and that those are not comparable.
Okay, well, let me put it this way.
That's a really good point, Luxander. Really good point. So do you therefore disagree with Aron Ra on this subject? Do you, Luxander, I'm asking you a question. Do you disagree with Aron Ra that someone like John Lennox is not stupid on the basis that he believes in God?
I never
know
said
that he was stupid on the basis that he believes in God. I said that his arguments, all of them, were stupid. Watch my 5-part playlist. You'll see every single argument he made was indefensibly stupid.
You are now being dishonest because I asked you the question outright. Do you
I
think
am not being
John Lennox
dishonest.
is
I
stupid?
answered the question. Do not
Aaron
accuse
Ra,
me of dishonesty. I said John Lennox's arguments, all of them, are indefensibly stupid.
That is different from saying that John Lennox is stupid, which you have said on tape, on record. You have said that, Aaron. We can even get your cultist chat room to go back through the logs here and see that you have said that on record. Now you are. Yeah, okay, don't throw in the red herring, right?
This is what I don't like. I don't like the dishonest misrepresentation that you are using. You want to accuse me of being dishonest because you are dishonest. You want to say things that somebody was destroyed or obliterated who doesn't even know that they lost. How then is he destroyed? He obviously wasn't destroyed. So you're using sensationalist language. Am I? But I will say that if I say that John Lennox is stupid only because absolutely every single argument he makes on this topic is stupid, well, maybe I should just say that his arguments, all of them, are stupid, and maybe somehow he's not. I'll allow that possibility.
Can you just clarify, yes or no? Did you say, probably about 5 minutes ago, that John Lennox is stupid? Yes or no? Just yes or no?
Did I just now say that maybe it would be more fair to say that absolutely every single one of his arguments on this topic is stupid, and that maybe it's a possibility that he himself is not?
This is a yes or no question. Aron Ra, you don't need to
it's a yes or no question. 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, I said that Lennox is stupid, and now I'm clarifying that it's possible that maybe Lennox himself is not stupid, but absolutely every single argument of his career is.
Great.
Now you evaluate what the probabilities of that are.
Great. Okay, so we're making progress. So you now admit that John Lennox is not necessarily stupid, but his arguments are stupid. That's the first thing that we want to do.
Every single one of his arguments in his career is stupid.
Right. Yeah. And you can say that with perfect utility, but to say that John Lennox is stupid is just hateful and being spiteful, right?
Tell me what the distinction is.
You've made a career drawing a distinction.
Arguing stupid things.
There's a critical difference, Aron. Someone can maintain stupid points about any topics, right? Again, Matt Dillahunty in his debate with Alex O'Connor looked like the stupid one when trying to defend the consumption of meat when Alex was trying to defend veganism. But I don't regard Matt Dillahunty as stupid. I would if I was using your parameters.
When was this debate?
Can I ask what you have against being mean to people? Like, because it feels like what we're policing right now, and like the reason why it matters so much. Like to say like every single fucking thing you've ever said is stupid versus you are a stupid moron. Like, like what is the difference here? They're both like we're hitting the same point, which is that like the things that you do are stupid. I don't understand the contention here.
Can I also bring up that my last information was, and I haven't talked to Alex about this, but the last I heard, he's no longer vegan.
Yeah, the fact that he's no longer vegan doesn't mean anything, right?
It means that Matt won that debate, Amir.
No, Matt didn't win that debate at all. No, that's a completely separate point. Luxander, you've even made this point earlier. You've kind of alluded to it, right? A lot of these debates are for performance-based reasons, right? Now, there are two parts to winning a debate. The first one is persuading the audience, and the second part is actually being able to make a better point than your opponent, okay? Now, if you take that at face value, the debate between Alex O'Connor and Matt Dillahunty, Alex O'Connor, even if he has reverted back to the consumption of meat, during that debate, he made better points. He made better points, and that is the general consensus of the community. And he was also able to persuade the audience as well. So he won on both fronts. But the reason why I'm bringing up that debate is because Aron Ra said that John Lennox was stupid because his beliefs in God and the way they used to justify them was stupid. And I would say, therefore, we could use that same logic to say that Matt Dillahunty is stupid. But I don't believe that to be the case.
But we can't, because here's how you completely fucking failed everything.
There's a difference in scale here.
I didn't say that Lennox is stupid because he believed in God. I said every one of his arguments to get to that conclusion is stupid. Matt's arguments, even if Connor was more persuasive in that moment, even though he's not vegan anymore because Matt ended up being right after all, even if he convinced the audience, that does not mean that Matt is stupid, nor that his arguments are stupid. But if you make a career out of making stupid arguments and you don't make any intelligent ones, then how am I to judge you?
Okay, and Aron, you've made another fallacious argument there. Even though Alex O'Connor has
I
reverted
can't
back
make
to
another fallacious argument until I've made a first one,
let me explain.
and I still have not made a first one.
Why your argument was fallacious.
Excuse me.
Let me explain.
I have not yet made a fallacious argument. Not a first one, not a second one, not a first one.
You have, but if you give me a second.
No, I haven't. You misunderstood the first one.
Aron,
your fault.
Aron,
and you're misunderstanding the second one.
Aron, I'm going to explain why your argument is fallacious if you give me the benefit of the doubt of talking for more than 20 seconds without an interruption, okay? You said that Matt was right after all because Alex O'Connor has now reverted back to the consumption of meat. That doesn't necessarily mean that Matt is now right after all. It just means that Alex O'Connor has reverted back to the consumption of meat. He could still be wrong in doing that. Everything that he said in that debate, he could still be correct, but he has now just reverted back to the consumption of eating meat. It doesn't therefore mean that Matt is right after all. That is a fallacious statement to make.
It's not a fallacious statement because I know Matt. And I'm pretty sure that even though I didn't see the debate, we've had these conversations, and I would bet that the arguments that Matt brought up are that biologically we cannot all be vegan. Some people can pull it off, but not everybody can. I know that Matt has said that to me before. That's probably what he brought up in the debate. That turned out to be the case with Alex O'Connor too. So that is knowledge of the fact, not fallacy.
Aron, you are completely pursuing a red herring there. The point that you said that Matt was right after all because
Luxander, would you explain to him what a red herring it was and how this wasn't one?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything that we're discussing here is completely irrelevant to the question that being asked, which is getting more and more confusing by the moment. I guess not as confusing as the last caller. I'll give you that, Amir. You're more coherent than the last person, so thank you for that.
Okay, and Luxander, I have to say, I really appreciate your tonality more than Aron, right? You're a much professional debater, and I respect that. Aron, you're very temperamental.
I'm going to be honest with you, Amir. The reason why I'm able to come to this conversation so calmly is because I don't have these conversations every week. You will find that my patience is much thinner on topics that are more near and dear to my heart. But like, I don't think that what you're doing right now, if I'm being completely honest, is like very mature. And I don't understand the point of it. Like, it feels like what you're calling in here to do is, hold on one second. It feels like what you're calling in to do is play a dominance game with Aron, where you keep interrupting him and shushing him. And like, it's like there's a power dynamic here that I understand is frustrating, but we do have like priority about when we are going to talk. And it's just like, I don't understand the point of your being here.
On two fronts. Just first and foremost, I agree that I've interrupted Aron on occasions. Would you also agree that he has interrupted me on occasions?
Well, but I'm saying that he is allowed to do that because that is the show that we have, is that we are the platformed people. And so anybody who calls in, like, if you say something incorrect, we will interrupt you. We will stop you because I can't just let you go on for 5 minutes and just say a bunch of things. And then I have to spend like 2 minutes responding to one of those points. You see, it gets a little bit unwieldy after a period of time. So I'm sorry that power dynamic exists, but that is the format.
Well, thank you for being able to concede in a very roundabout way that Aron Ra has also interrupted me, just on the basis that he can as well. So it makes it, morally permissible because he's the host. But anyway, putting it aside, you see, I agree. We have ended up debating a lot of stuff that is not actually at the crux of why I ended up participating in this call. But these diversions are still important nonetheless, because you see what ends up happening is across any of the topics that we discuss, it doesn't matter. There's never going to be any point that Aron or yourself will be like, oh, you know what, actually shit, he makes a valid point. It's just never going to happen. So even if I provided the most coherent, intellectually persuasive argument for the existence of God, the likelihood that either one of you will say, yeah, you know what, that's a fucking good argument, is almost fucking zero. So these diversions here prove something more deeply rooted in psychology, which is the fact that we are ego-driven, right? Nothing that I have said, either one of you be like, yeah, you know what, that's actually a valid point. Yeah, you know what, I did actually make a fallacious statement there. So even if we end up debating God,
let's put that to the test.
The exact same.
I asked you what convinced you, and you would not say. You went to red herrings to then accuse me of red herrings, because projection is the creationist's favorite argument. So what was the thing that changed your mind? Tell me the story.
Well, Aron, just the reason why we ended up in these diversions was, it initially happened because you would nonstop interrupt. That's the reason why it happened, right? So when you asked me that, question, I was ready to give my argument, but then you just couldn't wait. You just couldn't wait to get your word in edgeway. So
Okay,
I will
quit
present the
saying
argument.
wrong things, and I won't have to jump in to correct you. Now tell me the story.
So I will present my contingency argument as a series of premises and how that leads
This
to the
can't
conclusion.
be what convinced you. Are you gonna just tell me straight up? You were, as you said, what, the diehard atheist? Is that the term you use? Which doesn't exist, by the way. But you're going to pretend what we know doesn't exist, that you were a diehard atheist, not even a real thing, until somebody gave you the contingency argument, which is even stupider than the kalam, and that convinced you? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying to me right now?
It was the fact that I was exposed to various arguments. It might have been the contingency.
Various arguments. Okay, so it's not the stupid one. Was it a stupid one or just a stupid one?
That made me ponder, and after reflection, I was then persuaded on it. And after continuing
tell me about the steps there.
The steps to what?
To believing.
Going from a diehard atheist, which never existed, so that's a lie, but going from a diehard atheist to believing the magic imaginary man that you'll never admit is a magic imaginary man. Tell me.
I was watching a lot of debate online, and I was also reading the literature on the subject, and it made me ponder my position. And after reflecting it, I then realized that in fact, God.
You can't tell me what thing changed your mind. What was the crack in the armor?
Dude, it's like there's not one single event that it's like, oh, I go.
There is for me. So for rational positions, there is.
Aaron. No, not at all. It just.
Yes, there is. Yes, absolutely. Yes, there is.
There are tipping points.
Everybody that came away from religious belief, everybody that came away from religious belief to come into atheism, they can all mention the thing that got them started thinking. All of us can do.
Aron, please allow me to explain. It's almost like a scale, okay? And you have different weights on either side, and the scales tip. And you can put even as much as a little pebble on one side of the scale for the whole scale.
Well, that's kind of what he's asking, Amir. He wants to know what your tipping point was. Like, if there was a moment where you were like, shoot, I am now on the side of believing, like there's probably an in-between space. As a non-binary person, I can appreciate that there's like a liminal space of like, maybe I'm not convinced right now. So what we want to know is what was the tipping point?
Well, one debate that I did watch, and this got me to the tipping point, but not right at the edge, was I watched one debate between Sam Harris and William Lane Craig, and they were talking about morality and being able to objectively ground morality. And Sam Harris was debating for secular humanism, and William Lane Craig was arguing for divine command theory, so to speak. And I felt in that argument, as much of the audience who are atheists felt that William Lane Craig was more persuading and he made the better point. That was one of the catalysts, so to speak, towards my conversion in theism. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, we cut out for a second there, I think.
My progression from a believer to atheist, I can give you every step, every increment, every fact increment along the way. And with you, it's a variety of arguments. I can't exactly, not the case with me. I can give you the exact pinpoints for everyone.
I also can't really relate. I had one very clear moment where I was like, oh, God isn't real. So.
Yep.
Cool. Where do we go from here? Can I present?
Yeah, because what we're trying to figure out here
is God is not, now I'm at the point where God is not even possible. You have to show me the possibility of God now.
Agreed.
If God is not even possible, then that would actually make you a non-theist, I think it is. It's not an atheist, it's a non-theist.
I'm an anti-theist.
You actually make... an anti-theist. Now, an anti-theist is actually making a claim. So if God is not possible...
I am an anti-theist. I am an atheist. I am a non-theist.
Luxander, can you tell Aron Ra to not interrupt this much, please? It's spiraling out of control. I'm not even making a point here for it to interrupt. I'm just... As a non-theist or an anti-theist, you are making a claim.
Hold on. You just said that I'm a non-theist, not an atheist. The two words mean exactly the same thing.
No, an anti-theist.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
An anti-theist is some. No, Aaron, my understanding, and Luxander, maybe you might chip in on this. And an anti-theist is someone who completely rejects that a God could even exist. An atheist is
Wrong.
someone who suspends the belief.
An anti-theist is one who considers that religion is a net negative against humanity.
I mean, I would say that there are two components to my anti-theism. Like, yes, number one, religion is a social ill. Point blank, period. No elaboration on that. Like, I just think that it's a bad thing. But also, the reason, and so I think maybe slightly separately to the term anti-theist is like the question of being Gnostic or agnostic. So I think that what we're trying to say here is basically that, or what you might be thinking is like anti-theist means like I am a Gnostic atheist, which I also am. I know that God doesn't exist. And I credit P.Z. Myers for being the person who put it this way. The people who are saying God exists, and we know that the burden of proof is upon the person who is making that claim, they are so inconsistent with the definition that they offer that I do not even need to bother answering the question of whether God exists, because y'all need to fucking get it together and be consistent about what that even means, because the fact that y'all can't even figure out what it means that it can't be tested for, and means that I don't need to care about whether God exists. Like, I feel very confident that God doesn't exist for those reasons.
Like you. Like Luxander, I also know that God does not exist. I know that to the same degree and for the same reasons that I know leprechauns do not exist.
So if you know that God does not exist, you are making a positive claim there. So can you demonstrate?
Do you know that leprechauns don't exist?
Yeah, Aaron, you're answering the question with a question. That's not how debate works.
Do you know? That's a yes or no question.
Aaron,
can you answer it with a yes or no?
I love how much you want to control this conversation, Amir.
Sorry?
Do you know that leprechauns don't exist?
I'm responding to Luxander here because you're answering the question with a question.
Yeah, but you're not going to respond to me, are you? And we both know why.
But you're not responding to me.
I bet the whole chat room knows why you won't answer this question.
I was just being rude anyway, so it's okay. You can respond to Aron.
Right. Can we just first establish what makes for a healthy debate? If someone asks a question, you don't respond with a question. That is not debating 101. That's not how it works. Aron, you have made
I am illustrating. My answer with a question perfectly illustrates why my answer is valid. Do you know that leprechauns do not exist?
It depends. Obviously, leprechauns don't exist in the way that we understand, but in some multiverse, sure, they could.
Thank you. Well, then obviously God doesn't exist in the way that people pretend. Yeah, the Bible is complete horseshit. So is the Quran. So is the Bhagavad Gita. So is the Kitab-i-Aqdas of Baha'u'llah and the Adi Granth of the Sikhs and the Mahabharata. All of that. Everybody, all of it is bullshit.
But the problem there is that you're reducing God.
Can you show me any truth?
Problem
any of it?
Yes, I could. I mean, I was hoping to at the very start of the conversation show you a line of proof that we could pursue. But
I wonder why you wasted all this time.
Well, the problem with what you've just said there, Aaron, about the whole, do you believe in leprechaun things, is that you have therefore just.
I didn't ask if you believe in leprechauns. I said, do you know? I said, do you know that they do not exist? And you were too chicken shit to give the real answer, but you gave a tentative answer that'll be good enough. So. If somebody tells you that there's leprechauns in the garden or whatever, you're going to know better because you know that leprechauns don't exist. And for the same reasons that I know that your God doesn't exist. Now, you're not absolute. So it's possible in your mind that you could go out there and there would be a leprechaun. You would say, hey, I knew that leprechauns don't exist, but there's one, right? Yeah. But it's kind of impossible for a bunch of different reasons. They're magical, and magic isn't real. That's one.
We're in agreement. We're in agreement about leprechauns here.
Very good. Leprechauns and God do not exist.
But that is a false equivalence right there. And also,
because they're both magic.
Reason why you
how?
Dude, Aaron, chill.
Can you please explain to me?
Dude,
I'm just about a little baby. Can you please explain to me what is the difference between saying I know that leprechauns don't exist and I know that God doesn't exist? Why is that a false equivalency?
Luxander, I would love to explain that. I would love to. And I feel like you're
Just
the
ask
sort of
you
person
to.
that
Why
would
don't you do it?
listen. And I feel like you're the sort of person that would listen. I feel, Aron, you could really, really learn from Luxander. Just please learn from her.
Listen, he's old.
Great.
He's been through all this before. I understand his frustration. Like Aron and Matt,
I have
they're
been
tired of this.
I've been arguing with creationists every day for 30 some odd years. After
So why
every
do you
day
still
for
do
30
it,
years, and
Aron?
it's always
Aron,
the
if it's-
same stupid shit all the time.
So why do you?
There comes
why
a
do you
point
still
when
do
you
it,
start
Aron?
unapologizing.
Aron, why do you still do
Comes a
it?
point when you stop apologizing for calling people
Right,
stupid
so Aron,
and just call them stupid.
why the fuck do you still do this? Aron, clearly nothing is going to convince you.
Because
We
I believe
understand
in
that. So why the
truth.
fuck do you still do this?
I believe there's value in understanding what is real, and that truth
Okay,
therefore matters. And if I love
Right,
the
if the
truth, that means I hate lies, and that means that I'm against religion and your God.
Right, but if you are convinced of the truth, why do you feel the need to still be on this line here? You're not going to be persuaded
Because
of
I'm
anything
helping
else. Even
other
if
people.
How are you
Amir?
helping other people when
Amir?
99% of people in
I'm
this
answering
room
the
right now are
question.
atheists?
Okay.
Aron, I'm telling you, 99% of people in this room are atheists. The 1% of people in this
In
room
this
who
room,
are
yes,
theists,
but they're not the only people watching, and they're not the only people who have been watching. For well more than a decade now, I have been getting messages, private messages in various different mediums on social media and email and so forth, from former believers almost daily for 12, 13 years, something like that. People thanking me for something I said, an argument that I made, a video that I posted, a debate, whatever, that caused them to rethink their position, and now they're in college for biology, or now they're estranged from their religious family, but they're happy, and they've never been so free and intellectual and all of that. So
that's great,
that's
Aron.
what
So
keeps
if
me
that's
going.
true, and Aron, which is great news. So if that's the case and you are liberating all of these people, then why do you get so fucking angry? You should be debating with a fucking smile on your face knowing that you're liberating so many people, yet you are so angry and you are
Because
so
I am
fucking
confronting
hostile.
stupidity and dishonesty. Stupidity is one thing, but creationist apologetics is absolutely always professional liars. All of it.
But dude,
Think about
this
it.
is not.
Think about
But
this.
this now,
You're going to
this
argue
now
with a
gets, dude,
creationist.
Aron, this goes back to
Amir,
our very
let me
first
finish.
point, though. The
Let me.
people
I
who
can mute you.
the people.
I will speak. Okay. When you're arguing with a creationist, there is not one time ever that they will present a thing that is actually factually correct and indicative of their position. Frauds, falsehoods, and fallacies, that's all they ever have. They have to lie knowingly, deceptively, deliberately to make their point. That's what I get irritated about. People that lie for a living. Now tell me again how
In
you
the
were a
same way
diehard
that-
atheist, which doesn't exist.
In the same way that you like that John Lennox is stupid, only to concede 5 minutes later, oh, actually, he's
Yeah,
not
but I'm
stupid,
right
he's
about
just
that.
representing stupid points. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you're going back to saying that he is stupid. Look, Aron, you've gone from saying he's stupid to not stupid to saying he's
I
stupid
asked
again.
you earlier.
Just,
What's the
What
difference
material
if you make
difference
your
is
entire
there?
career only
Guys,
saying
listen,
stupid things in public?
Listen, I'm going to draw the
What's
line.
the difference between
Well,
that and
Aron,
you
I'm going
being
to draw the
stupid?
line here. I'm going to draw
Okay.
the line. I think this conversation has run its course. Look, Sandra,
I
love your
wish that
debating
it had.
style. You're
I wish
fucking
that you had
wicked.
let it do so.
Look, Sandra, you're fucking
All right,
wicked.
we're going to
Love your
pick up
debating
another
style.
theist.
Aron, chill.
Goodbye, Amir. Maybe you'll have an argument next time. Okay, so we do have another theist in the queue. We did. Yes, I'm going to jump straight to that one. Okay, we should be speaking with Jesse in
Hello.
Pennsylvania. Can you hear me, Jesse?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I just wanted to say that earlier you said that the Bible was bullshit.
Yep.
And I mean a lot of it, like the creation story, and like all of that, like.
Have you
those are
noticed how it's
definitely, like-
completely immoral as well?
Oh, I was actually saying that, like, I don't think the Bible's immoral at all. I think it's actually
So you think
an
child
excellent
sex
source of
trafficking
morality.
is okay?
No, certainly not.
So when Moses commanded his people to destroy a village, kill everybody inside, destroy all of their, steal all their booty, murder all of the families, all the elderly people, everybody, all the fighting men. And then when Moses got angry that his people brought the women and children, Moses told them to murder all of the women and murder all of the little boys.
Right.
But keep all the preteen girls if they're virgins. If they are virgins, then you can keep them for yourselves. That's the way it's phrased.
Yeah, that's fucking awful.
So you think that's moral, is it?
No, I was talking more about Jesus. I
Okay, so you're not talking about the Bible. Jesus also is pretty heinous as well. He ran a death cult. He broke up families. He said that he was here to tear women from wives from their husband and parents from their children, that he was here to disrupt families. You remember all that?
Well, I mean, not all families are good, but I was more so talking about how he commands you to give up your
Can I suggest that you just read the Bible? Just read it.
I have.
You
I think it's a
read
great
the Bible.
source of historical knowledge and morality, and I think Jesus'
Wait, no,
Sermon on the
you
Mount.
read the Bible past tense and you still think there's historical knowledge in there?
Yeah, for sure. Jesus was a historical
No, there
person.
isn't. For sure, there is not. The Exodus did not happen. The flood did not happen. The Tower of Babel did not happen. None of that shit
Sure,
happened.
of course not. No, those are stories, but Jesus was a real person. And I think
Jesus was a
that
real
there's a lot
cult
to learn
leader
from him.
and a faith healer who told people to give him all of their money. Don't have enough left to buy food or clothes. Give him all of your money, and he will use it to feed the poor. You know who else says that? Every faith healer we still have running the same scam today.
And also the Catholic Church that actually does like real charity work, and a lot of other charitable organizations.
There are
And
some
diddling
churches
kids all
that
the
on
time.
occasion for a public front do put up some charity work, but the vast amount of profits go right into the pocket of the pastor.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Luxander, I'm going to let you take this one because
Sure.
I don't want to seem confrontational.
Sure. I
No,
mean,
no,
I
it's all good.
really want to dig in on there are some families that are not good comment. That really stuck out to me as something that I would like to delve more deeply into.
hmm
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure specifically what he's talking about with Jesus breaking up families, but I mean, there are like families that are unhealthy, and I mean, the establishment of a family doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good one. So I was just like a little confused about that particular conceit with Jesus.
Okay, so you were just commenting that there are some families where like children are being mistreated, and maybe it would be not a bad thing to separate them in that case. Because I thought you were about to go on some kind of homophobia thing, and I was going to be like, hold up.
No,
Okay.
I'm
So when
literally
Jesus said
transsexual.
that you can't follow me unless you hate your father and your mother and your sister and your brother and your wife and even your own life, then you pick up your cross and follow me. That was that's family values message, is it?
I think it's debatable what hate means. I think that he means that you're supposed to try to be perfect, just as our Father in heaven is perfect. And I think if everybody had that particular spirit, then we could all aspire to be perfect as our Heavenly Father is.
I mean, I think it's really easy to see the Bible as a good thing if you just filter everything that it says, and you're like, well, surely they mean this. Like, sure, yeah. I mean, I could fucking read Harry Potter and be like, see, there's good stuff in here.
Is it possible that Jesus was a faith healer just like we still have today, who was taking people's money and promising that they were going to get all their reward back triple-fold in the afterlife? Whatever you give up today, you'll have great riches in heaven. Doesn't matter how poor you are. So give me all your money and I'll pretend to go feed the poor. But the guy also believed that diseases were caused by demons. Are diseases caused by demons?
No, definitely
No.
not. I'm not.
So
like
we've got a guy who's
creationist or
telling
anything
people
like
that he can cast out demons, and then the way he does that is he takes the demons out of somebody and he puts them in a bunch of pigs and runs the pigs off a cliff. Does this sound like someone you should take medical advice from?
I don't take medical advice from Jesus. I take medical advice from my doctor. I'm not like against science. I'm not a creationist. I'm not like a young earth creationist.
Yeah, but you don't have to be. If you think that Jesus, if you think that demons exist, and you think that Jesus cast out demons, that's not necessarily a creationist belief. There's plenty of people who accept theistic evolution and still believe that demons are that demons cause disease, and that Jesus
I don't believe
cast them out.
I don't believe in demons or anything like that.
Okay. You ever notice that the conflicting descriptions of heaven, where heaven and hell? I mean, it's either that if you're rich, then you're not going to get into heaven. You can't get into heaven if you're rich. You have to give all the money to Jesus, and then you can get into heaven, and you'll have great rewards. You'll have treasure in heaven. And if you don't, then you're going to go to the eternal punishment. But if you give all your money, then you'll go to eternal life, which means that if you don't give your money, then how can you have an eternal punishment but not eternal life? It means that you're dead. That means that the Jewish belief in Sheol or the Greek belief in Hades, that means you go to the land of the dead to be dead. But then they changed it. So now they've got this hell. Later on, they come up with this concept of hell, where now you're going to be tortured mercilessly, not for anything you did that was good or bad, but over whether or not you believed the bullshit of the clergy. If you didn't believe the lies they were selling, then they threaten you with hell.
I mean, I think that the clergy knows a lot more about theology than I do. I mean, I do think that you should give up your possessions to the poor, and I think that you should live a humble life, because I think money is corrupting to the spirit.
I don't necessarily have an argument for that. And again, Luxander, you really got to put a leash on me.
I know. I'm trying to get in. Like when I'm like, I don't know. I'm out of practice with arguing theology, but I guess
I feel that I just need to just kick back and give you more space.
Sure. I mean, I'm just kind of recognizing a familiarity with like what's kind of happening here, and I feel like what's happening here is, Jesse, you're like, some parts of the Bible are a historical record, and some parts of the Bible are like telling us how to live our lives. And the problem that we run into here, at least as far as I can tell, is like when we bring up things like, okay, what about this immoral thing that happened in the Bible? And you're like, yeah, well, obviously that's bad. And like, good, thank you. I'm glad that you have like a modern understanding of morality and that you think that selling virgins is a bad thing. Like, cool, great. But I think what we run into is that we're selectively judging different parts of the Bible based on like a subjective perception of it. So like, it's easy to say, well, yeah, that thing that happened in the Bible was bad. That's just part of the historical record. But it's like, if God and if the Bible and if Jesus, like in the text, as we say, as like, I'm a media analyst now primarily. So like in the text, it says nothing against like child rape or like selling children. So like if the Bible is supposed to be like the word of God or like divinely inspired or whatever it is that people want to say about it, is like, it feels like you're just selectively deciding which parts are moral lessons and which parts are historical record based on what suits you now in the modern era, which is what a lot of Christians do.
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. Like, I don't think that the Bible is like the inerrant word of God or some like American Protestantship like that. I just think that, I mean, the church has been around since Jesus was walking the earth, and it has to evolve with the times. And I think that, especially in these times of great inequality, I think that the teachings of Jesus is, something that people should look towards because I don't really know what else there is, to be honest. Like,
what exactly? Name a teaching of Jesus that people should look to.
I think of his Sermon on the Mount when he says, if somebody strikes you, you shouldn't strike back. You should turn the other cheek. I think especially blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall blessed are the peacemakers, especially in times of war and inequality. I don't really see any other political treatise or political philosophy that's so.
Those are good
Sorry,
examples.
go ahead.
Those are perfectly acceptable, defensible examples. Jesus also taught a lot of stuff that maybe we shouldn't point people to, like that we don't have to wash our hands before we eat, because it's not what we take into our mouths that corrupts us. It's what comes out of our mouths. Because he believed in magic words. He believed that if you say the wrong word, it could cause a curse.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not that one. And he said that if you were married and you get divorced, you cannot get divorced, according to him, for any other reason than sexual infidelity. But for whatever reason, if you get divorced, you can never get married again, ever. Because if you get married again ever, or ever have a sexual relationship again, that's a sin that'll send you to hell. Did you know about that one?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, of course I knew about that one.
Yeah.
I don't believe
it's shit
that,
looking for a role model that is consistent.
Sorry?
I'm empathizing. It's really hard to find a role model that is consistent.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
I'm interested if you think that so basically, like, you called in and I think your initial qualm was with Aron saying that the Bible is bullshit. You agree that some parts of the Bible are just fables, like they're just stories that we tell because they have a message. And, we can agree or disagree on whether some of those messages are good. And we also know that in the Bible, there are things happening which are resulting in harm to people, and that we don't co-sign those things. So, like, I guess I'm like not really seeing where you actually disagree with us on the premise that the Bible is bullshit. Because you do understand that some of it is just straight up like fairy tales for the sake of teaching a message, and like moral behavior that you do not condone. So what value does it have for you?
Well, for me, I think it's a way of avoiding becoming like an American libertarian type of person. Like, for me, like, my parents instilled in me like values that actually like made me see, the good in people and everything like that. But I know like a lot of people who, don't grow up with good parents or good role models. They don't believe in God, and they just kind of become like a nihilist or like an anarchist, or they just don't see any value in human collectivities or anything like that.
What does nihilism mean to you?
To me, it means that it's kind of just the disavowal of anything on Earth with any kind of consequences. Like, it doesn't matter what you believe in.
Would you be surprised to find out that that's not what nihilism means to nihilists?
I mean, no, they would probably disagree with what I would say, but I mean, yeah. I know the attitude.
So probably go with the definition nihilists use. So
sure, of course.
We would say that there is no meaning to life that is arbitrarily imposed from above or from without or whatever. If you want your life to mean something, you get to choose what it's going to be, and then you have to work to that end. You do not exist because of somebody else's plan. That's what nihilism is. So in saying that there's not a meaning, that we don't exist for somebody else's purpose, is not at all remotely the same thing as, I believe in nothing. It's a very different sentiment.
Yeah. No, and I guess that's where I disagree, because I do think that the meaning of life is to do good things for people. That's
going to be your meaning of life, and it can be mine too.
Sure, for sure.
I feel like that is a very, like, maybe you don't know about humanism, but that is a very humanist belief and approach. So like where I have landed on this, and I don't know if you'll feel the same way, but understanding that the Bible says a lot of things that I morally disagree with, that when it tells me to do things, sometimes it is commanding me to do things that I think are like repugnant or vile. And that like the stories in it, if we are to understand those stories as being parables or fables, then would it not be just as valuable or more valuable even to read like a modern philosophy book and if Jesus, all the good things you like about Jesus, if somebody made a book now that was like, here's how to live a moral life, wouldn't that be like a better book?
That would be a good book for sure. Yeah.
Do you think it would be more valuable than the Bible?
Well, I mean, I think for me, the thing that kind of informs my worldview is a lot of writings by Simone Weil, and she's very inspired by Christian theology. But I mean, I identified as a secular humanist for a long time. And so I guess eventually I sort of gravitated towards her writing just over time. But I mean, yeah, that's certainly, I think, if more people had a humanistic approach to life, then I don't think the world would be such an individualistic sort of hellhole that it is now, especially in this country.
I mean, that's cool. I'm glad that we seem to agree on most of the fundamentals of like how to behave as a person. I just happen to strongly believe that the Bible has so much bad shit in it that like it's more bad shit than good shit. And it makes me really suspicious when a person is like, yeah, the Bible is great. I'm like, okay, but like, what about it though? Like, and you're like, oh, the stuff about humanism. And I'm like, cool. I have found all of that somewhere else that doesn't also contain a bunch of stuff about how to treat your slaves correctly. So that's why I assert
how
that
to
the Bible
sell
is
your
bullshit.
daughter, how to sell your daughter into sexual slavery, and then what will happen to her if she doesn't please her master.
No, I understand. I understand where you're coming from. But yeah, no, I think I really appreciate you talking to me today. I actually have some other shit to do right now, but thanks for taking my call.
No worries. Thanks for calling, Jesse.
I want to thank you for calling in because you were clearly the most sincere person we've spoken to tonight.
Thank you.
All right, and I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to let her go, and we've got another theist. And now we're going to be talking to Vadim in Georgia. And you want to talk about the miracles in the Quran, is that right? Yes.
Yes. First off, thanks for having me on. I do want to specify that I am not a Muslim, but was brought these claims recently by a Muslim. And I don't know if you have heard about the sea and the land ratio in the Quran. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. You can feel free to stop me whenever you want. But the word land.
It's been a few years since I read the Quran, and I don't remember anything about the sea to land ratio. So refresh me, please.
Okay. Sure. So the word for land in the Quran, and keep in mind there are many other words. This is not counting like the words for rivers and mountains and stuff like that. But the word land appears 13 times in the Quran, while the sea appears 32 times, and these numbers they total 45. So basically, if we divide the number of references to land in the Quran, like 13 by 45, the result is 28.8%. And when we divide the number of references to sea in the Quran, 32 times, by 45, the result is 71%. So these ratios, they're the exact ones that apply between water and dry land on Earth. And that's, so 29% is what the modern scientific consensus says about land, dry land to sea covering the Earth, and 71% being sea to dry land. So basically, it's almost like a numeric miracle. And I'm just trying to, and it's like very accurate. So I'm just trying to get a feeling for what you guys think about this. I don't know.
Coincidences are trippy
numerical
sometimes.
miracles. Go ahead, Luxander. I've talked to him.
I was just going to say coincidences are trippy sometimes, and that's kind of as much thought as I would put into that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the numerical miracles of the Quran, where they draw a line from one of these temples that was discussed, or to this other city that was mentioned, to this other city. They were exactly on a line, perfectly level, and that was a great miracle of the Quran. How could that be? Except that would be a coincidence at best if it was, and then it wasn't, because if you actually look at it on a globe, it's not that at all. So, Quran miracles are really reaching. They're phenomenally weak. I've heard the same kind of apologetics from Mormons, almost identical arguments. And it's funny how they both pretend to prove themselves.
Right.
My big issue with the miracles of the Quran is that the moon is still in one piece.
Of course, and it would be hello, am I still here?
Sorry, there was an interruption. You're good, Vadim.
My dear 83-year-old mother always calls me when I'm on camera. Never at any other time. Only when I'm on camera.
It's impressive,
like my dad
really.
Calling me at the worst times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I see your point though. Like, it would be extremely disingenuous to focus on this one thing and then dismiss all the other false things the book says. Just such as Muhammad splitting the moon in two, right? Another one that was brought up to me is for instance, like the heavens and the earth forever, constantly expanding. Right, but that one is a little more broad because it's like, well, I don't think the earth is expanding, and it also depends what you define as the heavens, because in many of the verses of the Quran, right, it is cited that the land is completely flat, that the earth is flat. Not directly, but it implies.
Let me jump in with this because I'm familiar with this one. So in the elder mythology, because Islam is based on a form of Christianity. And Christianity, of course, is based on Judaism in most part, but then it also takes a little bit from Zoroastrian. Christianity takes a little bit from Zoroastrianism.
Agreed.
Judaism is based largely in Zoroastrianism too, but they didn't take all the same elements. So one of the aspects of Zoroastrianism is that the world is covered with this giant crystal dome, and Mithras takes off his cloak and spreads it. Well, no, that's a different religion, but it spreads his cloak over and he stretches out the sky like a tent. And that's what it says in the Bible. So you have the cloak that has all the stars sewn into it, and you stretch it out over the firmament. That's what it means to stretch out the sky. And then Muslims find out about, cosmic inflation, and they say, well, that's what it means when the Quran says that he stretches out the sky. Well, that's 700 years ago. That is not
Very
what that
broad.
meant when they wrote that.
Yeah. I definitely see what you mean. Yeah, it's a pretty broad claim. And now when we talked about like that coincidence, right? About like the proportions of the land and the sea. I mean, it's not even directly, I guess you would say, like cited. You also have to do some number moving, right? And it kind of reminds me of when you see those like Illuminati conspiracy theorists being like, "Oh my God, look, the three pieces of the triangle 3 times." I don't know. It's like, somehow you get 666 at the end of this crazy math equation. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what numerology basically is at its core, is like, it is the most deep conspiracy shit, and it's like, it's on there with bong rip theology, like it's all those things where it's like, oh my God, like if your shit was real, you wouldn't need to reach this far, you wouldn't need to stretch this far in order to connect the dots and everything. So yeah, it's just really silly. I would be way more impressed if those numbers that you gave, if there was also something in there that was like indicated that the percentages are changing. Like I was just reading about an entire country that's an island country who's about to evacuate their entire population because of the increasing amount of ocean. So yeah, like I would be way more convinced if there was something in there about climate change.
Yeah, I see what you mean, and it's also important to note that me personally, I think it's crazier that that Hinduism accurately predicts the age of the Earth.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
About like 4 billion. What is it? A little over 4 billion years old.
Yeah, a day
like that.
of Brahma is 4,320,000,000 years,
Right.
and at the end of that day,
right,
he dreams it all again.
Is that like a broken clock situation?
So,
Like they just happen to be correct?
Yeah, Hindu theology is cyclic.
Oh, cool.
yeah. So if someone's going to say that, for example, well, this one equation means that the Quran is true, then you're going to have to take Hinduism at face value as well. So they can't both be true, can they? Because they both have coincidental and overlapping, claims, things that won't add up, things that won't complement each other.
That's why it's like, as an atheist, it's like you believe in just as few gods as I do. It's like I just have one more god that I don't believe in.
Right. Yeah, so I definitely understand what you mean. That was just something that was kind of brought up to me by someone who was Muslim, and it's interesting. And just because there's one true thing doesn't automatically mean that the entirety of it is true. Because, like I said, if we just, like you were saying, when you can't just ignore all the other false things,
True.
So, but well, other than that, I appreciate you guys talking to me. I'm not going to hold you up
Thank
anymore.
you very kindly.
Unless you guys have any questions for me. If not, then
I do.
I appreciate.
Do you?
Sure.
You're a theist, right?
Yeah, I'm a theist.
I'm still curious as to why.
So I don't. It's hard to say. Because the way I define God isn't the same way as, for example, like the three Abrahamic religions would define God. I guess what I would define as God would be kind of similar to a more of a Gnostic sort of framework, if that makes sense.
Gnostic?
Are you
Gnostic, sure you weren't going for pantheist or deist?
Kind of. So I believe that there's the creator God, right? And I believe that there is, then there is something else that is the divine source that encompasses reality in itself, right? But so I don't really believe. So I believe that the material world is evil, but materiality, if like a form itself, is not evil. I'm sorry, English is not my first language. You're gonna have to kind of forgive me here.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to guess that. You speak very well. I didn't even pick up an accent.
Thank you. What I'm
what is
really
your first
trying to
language,
say
if I
is
may
that
ask?
I speak Tatar.
Okay, now I'm feeling ignorant.
It's like a Turkic language. No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know where that's from. I'm pretty good with geography. I don't know where that language is from.
So Tatar is a language that is spoken in Russia, and in a region called Tatarstan.
As a 10-year Russian
in
language student, I'm feeling especially ignorant.
It's okay.
It's pretty regional, I guess.
Yeah, it was the one thing my parents taught me, but they didn't teach me Russian. And I think I understand why.
Understandable.
But yeah, like, so essentially in most Gnostic schools, we believe that the material world is inherently evil, right? That form in itself isn't evil, but the material world is. So, I'm not sure if you guys are all that familiar with Gnosticism, but basically, when I look around the world, I see that things just suffer needlessly, unnecessarily. Things just suffer,
Yeah.
for no good reason. No good reason at all, other than just to suffer. Like, ever since I was little, I watched a lot of nature documentaries and Animal Planet and all that stuff. And my mom even had to come in the room and turn the TV off because of how brutal some of that was. I think one of the scenes on there was like a bear eating like an animal alive or some sort of deer or something, and I'm just like, why? So from an early age, I've been questioning, like, why does it have to be this way? And I came to the conclusion that do we know for a fact if there is a God or not? Well, no, of course not. That's belief, right? None of us can really know. But honestly, when I look around at this world, I can't make any other conclusion other than to how evil this place is. And it almost seems like what the Christians and the Muslims describe as being hell. And the only conclusion I can come to is that there has to be a source for such evil, and that could be within the essence of creation in itself. I'm not sure if that makes sense. If you guys want to ask me any follow-ups, I'm trying to make it.
I'm
make
interested in this idea that like where we live is evil and this is hell, because like I live in a place where there's a lot of birds. I can hear birds right now, actually, and I'm having a really hard time compartmentalizing the idea that birdsong could be evil. And like I'm using that as a small example. I'm zeroing in on that just because it's a sensory experience that I'm having right now. But like that you live in a beautiful world, and I mean maybe you live in Georgia, so I don't know. Or is it Georgia the country or Georgia the state?
It's the state.
Okay, so you live in Georgia, and I apologize for that. Yeah, so maybe you should travel a little bit because like the world is a beautiful place, and people do wonderful things for each other all the time. Like I'm experiencing something almost like effrontery at the idea that this place is evil because I see people do good things for each other all the time. And it's like, it can't possibly be intrinsically evil if there are good things happening all the time. And if there's beautiful things happening all the time, I'm like, that's a really depressing world to live in.
I'm just thinking, I'm an atheist, nihilist, Satanist, and I'm going to try to explain to a theist how beautiful the world is.
Genuinely, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean?
Well, yeah. Yeah, so in its like like in Gnosticism, we don't believe that, like, for example, animals are evil because they're basically, so there was a fall, right? Similar to how the Christians believe. There was some sort of fall that happened, right? And we became entrapped. We became entrapped within the material world, right? So animals are like this essence of divine life, like the souls of people, right? We actually believe that animals are even closer to the source than we are because animals don't have this concept of morality that we do.
I'm so confused though, because when you were describing like the evil present in the world, the example that you gave was a bear eating a deer.
Right.
Which one of those are not animals?
Yeah. I feel like that was a little bit paradoxical.
It's evil. Well, it's evil because of the suffering that's caused. It's not evil as in animals have moral decisions that they can make. It's really it's cruelty out of survival, if that makes sense.
But you understand that it has a purpose. Because another thing that you said earlier is that this is purposeless suffering, but you clearly understand that there is a distinct purpose for that suffering, which is animals got to eat to survive.
Right. But in my eyes, they don't have to like if there was a potential universe, none of this would have to happen.
Are you vegan?
But because, am I vegan?
Yeah.
Unfortunately not. I wish I was.
Okay. I mean, at least you recognize that would make you ideologically consistent.
Yeah.
Are you
it's
evil
not
for
so
not
much
making
like-
that commitment?
I wouldn't, actually, to an extent, yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So, it's something I'm in the process of working towards, actually, is veganism. But yes, so by eating meat, to an extent, in that context, I would be considered immoral.
I feel
So,
you.
yes.
I feel you. I hate. I know that if I had to kill my own food, I'd be vegetarian overnight, hands down. That's it. I just wouldn't.
I don't
I'd
have
be a lot
this
skinnier
qualm at
too
all.
because I wouldn't. I wouldn't know what good food tastes like because that's all meat.
True, you can't miss something you've never had.
Yeah.
I've had like lifelong
and,
vegetarians who are like, yeah, I
mhm.
can't miss meat, and I'm like, I mean, that's a little bit of a jealousy point I had when I was trying to be vegetarian.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know
So,
what a hypocrite I am for eating meat every time I eat I eat meat every day, and it bothers me. But it's also our biology. As was mentioned earlier in the show today, Alex O'Connor was a vegan and found that he
Yeah.
couldn't sustain it. And a lot of other people find that biologically they just can't, because there's an aspect of our biology that forces us to have to do this cruelty against animals until our technology can produce entirely artificial food.
yeah. So I definitely understand, but it's more so like, yes, there is a lot of suffering also out of necessity, but I feel like in a better world, none of this would exist. And so I understand what people mean by, questioning, the goodness of God. I definitely understand that, because I'm not one of those people who believe that God is actually good. I believe in a God. I'm a theist, but I actually don't believe God is good, nor that he is actually worthy of worship.
Okay.
Because it's almost like he is the one that is sustaining this world of constant suffering and even unintentional suffering. Like, for example, like a bear eating an antelope alive. The bear doesn't have a moral framework. Oh, I want to make this antelope suffer. It is just its brain is just engineered to do that. It's in its biology. It's in its evolutionary.
A world where horrible people just get handed billions of dollars just for lying and cheating everyone else, and they have great lives and live long time and never see any kind of repercussion or any kind of accountability. But good-hearted, sincere, nice people are visited with terrible disease and poverty and all of that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically kind of where I'm coming from. However, I definitely see eye to eye with people who are atheists, because it's like, well, at the end of the day, you said something earlier, Aron, when you said, like, I know that there isn't a God, and that resonated with me, because that really resonated with me, because if we were to like grant, like, for example, the Abrahamic view of God, all powerful, all knowing, all of the above, all the omni, right? Then it is completely contradictory and inconsistent with a world where unnecessary suffering exists. Because if you were a being and you're all powerful and you could have created a world where none of this was actually a thing, and you chose to create this world where, for example, rape exists, torture exists, things like that, then in my opinion, you are a disgusting, cruel being. And you had the power to create a world that wasn't like that. And people would say, oh, well, we wouldn't understand virtue if it wasn't for suffering and evil. But that doesn't apply to a context where God is all-powerful and can create whatever universe he desires to.
Well, God figured out that
And
nobody was going to buy a Sims universe that didn't have a bit of Grand Theft Auto in it.
Mhm.
yeah,
In his wisdom, he gave us a little Grand Theft Auto as a treat. Yeah.
All right, we got one more caller, and Vadim, thank you very much for that. I would be keen to hear about your theology at another time in another venue, perhaps, because I've never heard of it before. So if you can reach out and share
Absolutely.
some of that with me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Do you want me to reach out via like an email or something like that, or do you want me to call
Yeah,
back another
yeah,
time?
yeah, or social media one way or another. But I'd love to hear it.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on, and I appreciate the talk. It was a wonderful talk.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
kindly. Enjoyed you.
Okay. Take care, you guys.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we had another caller who apparently did not get through the screener. And I love this. The only thing that did get through was the message, "You're all miserable."
Yeah, I would have loved to have that conversation.
Yeah, but as we happen to have Hoot, who also uses the same pronouns, it's, in Canada. All right, and this is a very long question. I'm not going to read it out, so I'm going to ask Hoot, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Would you mind reading out the question that you gave us, or paraphrasing if necessary?
Yeah, sure. I could go a little bit more in depth. It's hard to try and get the whole point across in such little space, but as a queer atheist, I've been thinking about some of the useful aspects of religion beyond the big guy in the sky myth, especially given historical political strength exerted by the church, which isn't good but can potentially become a force for good. And to extrapolate upon that, this has been inspired by two different things. First of all, I actually recently had a conversation with proselytizing Mormons who came to my door. They did not convince me to their
Exciting.
side, but yeah. But what I did notice was some of uh, it got me thinking more philosophically about religion and the way that people seem to pick and choose the aspects of religious texts that they want to believe based on their own moral code. The caller that you had a couple callers earlier was actually very interesting to me because I can almost relate to that because there was a moment in that conversation with those Mormons where I was like, maybe I might be becoming maybe I might be becoming a theist. Since then, I've kind of no, I'm definitely a Satanist in some regard. But in any case, I'm getting lost in the weeds here. It did lead me to think like if you can just pick and choose certain aspects of a religious test or a religious text to suit your moral code or a moral code you want to instill upon others or teach others about. Uh, I feel that could be useful. But also, in addition, I believe there was a recent video that a YouTuber by the name of FD Signifier came out with, whereby he explained what he meant in an earlier video, where he said in response to Zoran Mamdani's success in New York, he suggested that people go to church. And he extrapolated upon that in the next video after that, saying that church has frequently, especially in Black communities, been a force for positive change, specifically with the Black rights movement, but also for a lot of other smaller goals. And basically he views the church as an organizing force, as a lot of people in a room together who can be brought to the same conclusions and then be put into action. And I feel that is an amount of power that I feel discarding wholesale may not be a good idea, especially as North America and some parts of the rest of the world start dipping into fascism. Does that seem to make sense?
So it does make sense. My response that initially is like, So what I'm gathering is that you're like, okay, religion can be an organizing force within a community to accomplish things, and like bring people together and stuff. Well, what if we just appoint me dictator of the world? Because then I will accomplish like a lot of great things and we'll get rid of a lot of the bureaucratical nonsense that prevents good from being done. Therefore, dictatorship on its concept is not a bad thing. Like, because I could be really good at it. I promise. Give me the keys.
Yeah.
And I
That is a
would
good
make
being
the
a little bit
same
flippant, but
promise.
exactly. Yeah. Only good things. So it's like, I guess I'm just being cheeky and being like, yeah, I understand that like people can conglomerate in ways that are like organizationally useful. Like I know I like moved away recently, but like for a long time there has been a very active community in Kansas City with the humanists. Oh my God, what do they call it? They're like their Sunday meetings. I can't remember what they call it, but it's a specific thing and they're doing it every week. So obviously we can, as members of a community, like congregate and gather and organize, you know, like factories are also a great place to do this. You know, let's bring back, you know, Midwestern manufacturing in the United States because factories are a great place for workers to unionize. Like, I don't know. I feel like we can do things outside of this original like context that has all this additional baggage, if that makes any sense. So I'm like, why don't we do something else other than religion, but the same idea of organizing in our communities? Like we can just do it around something else. Like we could do it around having a community garden, you know?
Yeah, I very much appreciate that because it's very hard. It was very hard for my brain to kind of stick out of the hole. Let's make Church 2.0
Yeah.
because Church 1.0 stuck. But Aaron, I'd also like to hear your perspective on the matter as well. I'm not sure if you mirror Luxander's sentiment or not.
You with us, Aron?
Yeah, I just saw something in the chat. I shouldn't even have looked at the chat, but I did, and I saw my favorite.
It's a distraction.
I saw something. I saw a prayer in the chat that has become my instant favorite prayer. I had to write it down. Tooth bunny, lead me to Satan.
True.
Tooth bunny.
Is that a reference I'm not understanding?
I don't know.
It
Maybe
was-
it's a
But I'm
combination of
thinking, like,
the Easter Bunny and
I'm
the
kinda
Tooth
sitting-
Fairy, I think.
Yes, it was from
Oh,
a previous.
okay.
It was from a previous SkepTalk where Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels said Tooth Bunny, getting them confused, and it just
Got
became a meme.
Okay, that's fun.
Oh, okay. I see. 'Cause
Love
I was
that.
sitting here thinking, like, how does that person know that I don't have teeth? That's crazy. What?
Oh no.
Crazy. Like, oh no, he's in my walls.
That's true.
But yeah, Aaron, what is your perspective on? Maybe you have additional comments to make after what Luxander had said about whatever, or if you need me to refresh your memory on where I'm coming from.
Well, I think I got a little lost on that, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. So, in summary, it's basically like a combination of factors led me to understand that the power of church is very real, both politically and socially. I am an activist. I want to do good in the world and make good change. And I'm noticing a lot of those churches use a lot of particular types of social tactics, as well as just the conglomeration of just a massive people.
All right, so we're going back to the
enact
first
their
point.
change.
I thought I'm caught up on you now. I thought there was another point that I'd missed there.
Okay.
The one thing that churches do, and it's not even entirely always a good thing because it does contribute to tribalism, is the sense of community. Right. And people think that they need church for that, but I have found community in hobbies, and that's certainly easier with in the age of social media. But I mean, even in the 80s, you know, there were sci-fi groups, there were LARPing groups, there's a whole bunch of different things. So you could just take up on a new hobby and have a new circle of friends come with it. And so you don't really need the belief system. And the belief system was being used to yoke and extort from people anyway.
Got you. Okay.
Once upon a
That makes a
time,
lot of sense.
democracy
It's
was
just
the gold standard.
really
The people ruled. Their
what I
voices.
find is the reason why I keep coming back to churches in specific, I find, is that it's who is going to church. A lot of times, it's the types of people who've been led to believe things that are against their own best interests, or may even be against their moral code, but they tell themselves, well, if I want to be religious, or if I want to be following in my God's footsteps, or doing God's will, I need to be doing it in this particular way, whether I like it or not. And I feel as though what I mean to say is that, like, a lot of people I find might be of a particular. Oh, I might have lost my train of thought here. I think what my point is that a lot of people I find, when you get down to brass tacks and start talking about, for example, economic concerns with regards to cost of living and whatnot, as long as you avoid the minefield of buzzwords that they've been trained to dislike, I find that my discussions with them often lead to the same conclusions that I've drawn, where, materialism is causing problems, consumerism is causing problems, and, like, rich people have all of this money and they're not being taxed well enough to spread the wealth, kind of thing. They end up at the same conclusions that I do, so long as I avoid those buzzwords, those mines, to trip over, so to speak. So I find that, to a certain extent, using perhaps this is a bit of a manipulative way of putting it, but perhaps using religion to bring people together who might otherwise be avoidant towards specifically progressive conglomerates, may come together and congregate in that area, and then start unpacking and unlearning some of those things that they've been taught to despise, if that makes sense.
I think it makes
You know what I mean?
more sense to like infiltrate the hobbies of people who tend to be conservatives. Like, so basically, like, and I think I agree with what you're saying here, is that, like, basically there are way more socialists in this country than you would think. If you just talk about the policies, a lot of people are actually like socialist, right? I think it's valuable for me as a queer trans person to go get a membership at the local gun club and like make friends with those people and start like influencing culture in that way, rather than like, I don't know. It's like, is it me starting a church? Is it me joining a church to meet people? And like, am I going to try to influence what the church does? Like, how am I interacting with the church in this hypothetical situation?
Right.
It's like, there is a better way to do this. And it's by being a member of a community, by having, like, I have a community garden. I've got people out there like Francisco. He was wearing a shirt that said Plant Daddy. And I was like, I can tell this guy's a cool dude. It's like, I would just rather be a force in like those small ways outside of the context of religion, which is a preference. Like, I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not necessarily saying that I think one is more effective than the other, except that if they find out that you've infiltrated their church, they're going to be pissed. Whereas if you're just chilling at the community garden, you're not like maintaining a deception of any kind. Although I guess you could always go with a, like, I'm just trying to find my community. I'm just trying to find if there's a church in my area, whatever. I just feel like there is still some level of like subterfuge as an atheist to do that. Whereas I would rather be like, yeah, I'll volunteer at the homeless shelter or the soup kitchen or whatever. And like, it's a fact that I'm going to have to deal with a bunch of religious people while I'm doing that. And if someone asks me what my motivation is, I'll be honest that I'm a humanist and I'm doing this for that reason. And I just think that would be a better. Sure.
To be fair, I don't necessarily disregard the usefulness of spirituality and ritual. Granted, I think we could all agree that the way that religion has taken shape, probably not the greatest, but there is some usefulness to ritual, like, for example, brushing your teeth. Highly recommend that. Don't go without teeth. But like, ritual can have some spiritual good, even if it is just kind of like a fulfilling, like, I took care of myself today kind of thing. So
what about
even in the
drinking
sense
a
of,
toast to your health or to your marriage or what have you?
yeah, yeah, that could be also like a positive ritual. Um, Granted, you don't need church to experience those rituals, but more to the point, I wouldn't necessarily, on its face, see it as subterfuge just to partake in rituals such as, the body and blood of Christ or whatever, because I have actually been confirmed. I used to be a Roman Catholic. But even so, uh, there is, I don't know. I'm getting into semantics at this point. It's not useful. Um, uh, but what you are saying is essentially like, I could force myself to learn Warhammer 40K and make the incels understand socialism.
Well, I mean,
from
I
that.
guess I have an eclectic range of hobbies. So, like, I am a person
Yeah.
who's like, yeah, I play fucking World of Warcraft, and I'm gonna go shoot my bow and hunt, and I'm gonna go to the gun range. Like, I have just a lot of hobbies that are outside the realm of what is typically like normal for a leftist or whatever. I'm one of those like so far left you get your guns back people. Um, so it just so
Yeah.
and like I'm from Kansas. That's part of it too. Is like so many queer people are from places where it's like, yeah, I grew up on a farm. Like, yeah, I know how to impregnate a cow. Yeah, I know how to drive a tractor. It's like these things that are just typically considered conservative. I mean, I think really it's because they're associated with like a lower socioeconomic class, and like Republicans are represented. I don't know if they're overrepresented. That's an interesting question, actually. But like they're associated with lower class, and so like there's this thing where, yeah, like conservatives are overrepresented in things like hunting, which is, I mean, I guess it's like an expensive hobby, but it is something that can save you money. And it's something that people used to do for subsistence purposes because there wasn't widely available like supermarket food. So yeah, I'm not saying like become a Warhammer fan. God, the most expensive hobby you could have picked, Hoots. Like,
It's
yeah,
okay.
let
I
me
have access
just.
to a 3D printer. It's fine. I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and painting minis is fun, even when they're 3D printed. Yeah, but I just think like being a member of a community, whatever that is, whether it's like the community garden or whether it's volunteering at something or showing up to city council meetings, like you want to talk about organizing in a community and affecting change, show up to the city council meeting, you know? I just think that there's other things we could do besides religion, but I don't disagree with the idea of like infiltrating and hijacking religion to make it more of an impactful secular organization. Just like how dishonest do you want to be is the question.
Yeah. I mean, I have no, like, I mean, when the alternative is a backslide into fascism, I feel like any tactic is necessary where the ends justify the means, but, especially when it's resulting in not only saving lives, but is also, like, not taking any lives in the process. So, if subterfuge is what it takes, I would be willing to do that, and I wouldn't have any regret or guilt about it. That being said, it's interesting that you mentioned city council as well, because the other thing is that I have created community in my own rural part of Canada. Like we have a queer social gathering where people gather. I just noticed that it's very, very small, bigger than I would have expected. There are a lot more queer people in rural Canada than one might expect, but it's still quite small and very niche. So my main, I guess one of the bigger reasons why church seems so appealing to me is because of the wide net it would cast. And I think that's a big thing. That's why I keep getting hung up on it. But,
I remember talking with a woman who just became an atheist, and she just realized everything she was taught by people that didn't actually know what they were talking about. And that was good enough to say, well, if you don't know, why are you telling me like it's a fact? Because that's big. And she was way out in like West Texas, like Odessa, something like that. And she's like, how do I network with like-minded people in this extremely red area of semi-rural Texas? And I said, well, get up on, at the time, meetup.com was a thing that a lot of people were doing. So I suggested that. And the only meetup group at that time was the Friends of Mike Huckabee.
Rough.
Throwback.
Jeez, that's a name I hadn't heard in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, what we ended up doing to make the queer social gathering thing exist was I just approached the local library and and I knew that the library was going to be a safe place for us to organize and meet up because they had previously shown displays of LGBTQ pride flags and pride books or books about queer people by queer people, that kind of thing. So I
Mm.
knew they cared in some regard, and they also heavily resisted against people who were calling them to critique them. I do also live in a staunchly Tory-based area of the province in particular. It's I don't think it's ever gone to in our province the NDP, which is the quote unquote other option. Uh, so that is something to consider. But even then, considering it's an oil town and it's very heavily oil and gas, and you got a lot of stick in the muds here, you could still build a community in these smaller areas, and people will come. That's what I've learned the most from it. Uh, so, it's just again like the idea of trying to cast a wide net and trying to get people who to maybe question how they're thinking about things. But then again, some people are so indoctrinated and so thoroughly pushed into the isolation and alienation of hating other people and other people who are not like-minded to them, not wanting to listen to logic or reason. It can really insulate you from being deprogrammed in any even passive manner, let alone active. So, I
Yeah, and I
Well,
will
you
suppose,
also
say,
mentioned that while you're talking about the community aspect of church, that there's an awful lot of religious centers I mean that church congregations very often, not always certainly, but we know these certain ones that promote hate, that turn the
mhm,
whole congregation against their neighbors.
mhm. I wouldn't even be like infiltrating. I wouldn't even be bothering with those uh, conglomerations, those churches. Like those would be a waste of time and be more dangerous than it's worth.
yeah, I want to just hone in. And I think that I'm kind of reaching, like, I'm going to give advice about being an activist right now. And then I don't know that I have a lot else to add. Um, when you're
I
thinking
appreciate
about like
that.
trying to cast the widest net possible, I would say for you, Hoot, and for anybody listening, like, be careful about that, because we have a tendency to stretch ourselves quite thin, and we are trying to think of like, how can I impact the most people? And I think that for a lot of us, like, we are not like, yes, I have a bunch of different hobbies, but I'm not going to be able to do all of them because I don't have the time, and like all the different kinds of people that I want to be able to reach, and like all the different issues that I care about. Like, yes, I care about moving the needle on racism. I will confront white people when I can about that. Like, I want to move the needle on atheism. I want to move the needle on trans activism. But like, you have to be able to recognize the limits of your ability and recognize your
Right.
strengths and like where you're going to be most effective. So like, maybe you're in your 30s like me and you go through a little midlife crisis regarding your career choices, and you're like, let me start completely all over. Like, yeah, that is an option, but like, recognize what skills you already have and what communities you're already a part of, and figure out how you can affect change within those spaces or with those skills, rather than, I just think we get a little bit stuck on this idea that we need to be efficient or like maximally effective. And I just think that that is
Right.
probably untenable for most people. So just think small and like work where you can.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race. Yeah, I do tend to be quite ambitious. I'm not necessarily new to activism work, but getting into much more direct action, organizing people, getting them together to organize events and stuff like this, like that's new to me. And trying to pull people into that and get them to do things is what I find is um, probably the maximum of my effort. I can't really start casting a wide net before I've perfected that way of like motivating people to do things. So that's a good point.
Yeah,
I'll keep that in
influence the
mind.
people who are already in your circles, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, cool. Good talk. I really appreciate that. It's just that thought was kind of stuck in my head about like do church 2.0, and I needed some advice on like what that there's got to be something else that I'm missing. So I appreciate
Sure.
the chat. I also appreciate the snakes. I used to be scared of them, but I am slowly growing fond of them as they crawl all over Aaron. So
Yeah, they're cute. They're friendly.
yeah,
Yeah.
they look very cute.
All right. Well, thank you very much
yeah.
for that. I am remiss in that I should have been telling everybody about the upcoming shows. Tomorrow we have Chewed Gum, 6 p.m. Central Time. That's with Elisa Lube, Taylor SH, and I forget what the SH stands for, and Amargan. And then we, well, actually, no, we're not with Amargan. I'm sorry. I'm reading this all wrong. Then we have The Hang Up, and that is with Matt Dillahunty. And then on, that was, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we have the Transatlantic Call-In Show with Jose Caballero and Ben. And that's all we've got for July. And we don't yet have an August calendar.
Soon.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I guess we're going to be closing out now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate that we didn't get to dive into your
Super chats.
Facebook argument that you had before.
Yeah, I would have loved to have had that, to have the guy call in, but no, he's still, rather than call in here, he's still on Facebook talking about what a chicken I am for asking him to call in to Trash Me Live. I'm a chicken because I didn't go to Modern Day Debate and give him a platform so that he can just hate trans people, because Modern Day Debate will platform flat earthers and Nazis and
pretty much anybody.
And that was the reason I told them why I'm not going to do a Modern Day Debate again.
Yep.
Because they would,
let's have a conversation, not a debate.
We have
Maybe.
super chats.
Yes, we have super chats.
Yep. Ready for it. Okay, I'll start. $50 from The Atheist Mechanic. Aron Ra and Lux, a great duo for sure. FDT, help me, Lux. What is FDT?
Fuck Donald Trump.
No idea. For Donald Trump.
I think it's fuck Donald Trump. Yeah.
Fuck Donald Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
Protect trans lives. Free Palestine. I'll have to catch the show a bit later. Much love to everyone. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And then you?
Canadian $5. I always do that in my head. I'm like, CA is either Canada or California. From Quantos Nachos, who says, Lux, sup dude, fancy meeting you here. Hello. I don't have any exciting stuff to put here, but I feel like I should use my 150 characters. So yeah. Whee! Thank you. I appreciate that.
Brilliant. $5 from Bromley CX. Google it. One sounds like he's hallucinating AI. Feels like he's hitting the AI a little too hard.
True.
You're freezing up, Aron.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this my connection? We're getting like fragments of words.
Yeah, your video and audio is very choppy.
Oh, I don't understand why. Did you hear what I read?
I think you're back. You're back
Most of
now,
it,
and
yeah.
we heard you all the way up until the end. I think we missed hashtag Team Lux, but we got the rest of it.
Okay.
Yeah, hashtag Team Lux. We do like a competition on TACIS, so you'll see the hashtag cross-pollination in other super chats sometimes. £5 from Mystic Mind Analysis Tavern says, question for Aron, since evolution modifies existing structures, what structure did cetacean tail flukes evolve from, getting wider as well as longer?
The tail flukes for whales began apparently the same way that manatee tails do not match dugong tails. So eventually that type of motion is going to produce that type of fluke. A dugong's tail is identical to like sperm whales' tails. But manatees just have broadened tails like a beaver has. So it's just like this big spoon kind of a thing.
And they still have their little feet.
They still have elbows, which is hilarious. They have elbows and they still have fingernails in their flippers.
Nice.
Now, apart from evolution, explain that.
Yeah, super useful.
$5 from Minute Rice, 1940 or 1954, I'm sorry. One of these days, Aron will be on SkepTalk and get good callers. One of these days also, hi, Lux. Good to see you on other shows. Yeah, I want to thank you, Luxander, for being on with us. I appreciated having you on.
Totally. I had fun. You get the most insane callers. It's like, at least people are halfway normal on TACIS. It's like such a dramatic difference between the callers that we get and the callers that you guys get. So, I mean, I'm just literally here for the ride. I'm just like, woo, let's go. I will have what he's having. Okay, $10 from Sentient Tree, who says, you know what's better than A Song of Ice and Fire? The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Plus, it doesn't have the cough familial relations. Happy Monday, hashtag Team Void. Okay, my friend was like, I'm going to gift you a Brandon Sanderson audiobook. And I was like, cool, I will listen to this audiobook. And then I don't remember what book it is, but it starts with an action scene that is exposition, which managed to bore me so much that after 10 minutes, I had to turn it off. I was like, wow, you are like an action scene that is boring me. This is ridiculous. So that's all I know about Brandon Sanderson. And also that he's Mormon. So, somebody said hashtag Team Void. Okay, I have to go find my cat and show him off. That's the rules. If somebody mentions my cat during the chats, I'm going to go get him. And then I'll let you read the next one. I'll be right back.
Okay. $9.99 from Hannah Hodgins, 9516. So odd that theists like Amir, claiming to be extreme atheists, get convinced by the dumbest arguments out there. I know, right? He was a diehard atheist.
Yeah. The monumental evidence that must have gone into convincing him, and yet he couldn't bring a single thing to the table. This is my
Very
cat.
lovely
His
cat.
name is Mitternacht, but he doesn't know that because we call him Mr. Baby all the time. Oh, look at that. That's the most you've ever shown them your face. There we go. What a good boy.
I have a handful of cats in proximity, but I can only... It would be awkward to grab any of them.
Mm-hmm. My cat was sleeping. Very cooperative of him. $5 from Alice Rosas, who says, I don't often watch the Monday show, but I gotta show up and support hashtag Team Luxander, making its way onto the other shows. Yeah, thank you. It's been very fun to get on the other shows. Not what I expected necessarily. Apparently, I gotta go on with Forrest in order for any trans-related calls to come in, because I see all the time that Forrest gets these, like, I don't like your pronouns calls. Or maybe it's because he's like, I can see that you didn't report your pronouns, and therefore I'm gonna make that the point of this call. He's very willing to just ignore what the caller wanted to talk about.
And then, let me see, $10 from Nuntius Libera. Luxander helped me stay alive for a very formative time. I'm going to rewind to listen to the whole show, but goddamn, so happy to see it on the show. Best Monday night surprise ever, Charlotte. Well, I'm glad that I was the first one to bring you out here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very, I just like, it's always really big when someone's like, you have helped me with something major in my life. So I'm in the middle of pulling cat hair off my face, but the gravitas of that has landed, and I'm very happy that I was able to help. $5 from Perfectly Floorward says, as Forrest says all the time, Jesse, you are a better person than the God you believe in. Hashtag Cult of Luxander and Aron. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, all of us are better people than the Christian God. Most of us.
Well, we're better than the Christian God. We're not necessarily better than all Christian, but the God, yeah.
Yeah.
$4.99 from Hannah Hodgins, 9516. Jesus believed in submitting to an authoritarian God. He upheld the Jewish law. He was a product of his time, not some amazing moral guy. He sucked.
Yep. I don't actually know a lot about the historicity of Jesus. I know that it's contested even among theologians. So that's another area where I'm like, I have permission to just not think about this. Thank you for the 10 pounds from Jessica says, I was born in 1987. The numbers, ignoring the first, go in reverse numerical order. Therefore, my birth was a miracle and God is true. What a bunch of nonsense arguments. Hashtag team Espeon sucks. Hashtag love you soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got to show off one other thing here. If you look inside this dinosaur skull, you see a little bitty baby.
Oh, I love that pattern. Camera's like, I refuse to focus.
that is an Australian jungle carpet python. My first of 3.
Is it going to get bigger?
The other one I have is 6'4".
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's got some expansion in his future. Cute. $9.99.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I don't remember whose it is. $9.99 from Jenico6, who says, I was in a band called 420, bought a truck on 420, bought a house in 2002. The house is between SR's 417 and 423 with an average of 420, and the water heater's energy rating was 420 per year. God wants me elevated. True. If there was ever a message that said get lit, it's that. Smoke weed every day.
$5 from Bramley CX. Luxander for dictator 2025. I'd make a great dictator.
I think you can be on the council. You know, I would have listen, I'm not that kind of dictator. There's at least going to be like a council of I guess counselors is the word that I'm looking for. That's not what I wanted to land on, but I'll have a group of people who I listen to sometimes.
Okay, well, just let me be a dictator on day 1.
Sure. All right. You can get some day 1 work done, and then I don't have to be blamed for anything you do.
Yeah. Next one up.
Oh, no. Yours? Yeah, it is. Do they do this to you? Have you ever gotten one of these before?
Yes, I have, and I do them pretty well, I think.
Sometimes mine ends up going a little Irish. $20 from Mr. Boricua 10. Thank you. Says British. Finally able to chat. What in the bloody hell was that matter with the 2 blokes earlier, Martin and Amir? Those 2 had me wondering if I bashed me head too bloody hard this time. What a whirlwind of utter bollocks. I got all the way there.
Better than I would have.
That was hard. There were a couple where I was like, I don't know what that says. Figuring it out as we go.
$5 from Joshua Everett 9887. Good team, good show. Team looks tater. They love you.
It's true. It's always like whoever the new kid in town. Yeah. Thank you for the 5 Canadian from Monster in Head, who says, Tooth Bunny, lead me to Satan. Why have religion unless you simply love'n? True. Hail Satan.
$5 from, I love this, Thump 10. Great show, Aron and Luxander. What's the gist on Yahweh's origin, and did he originate from Canaan pantheon? I have the opportunity to talk to Bible scholars on this, and they don't have a consensus position. It's often been said that Yahweh was originally a Canaanite god, but there's nothing hard about that. Apparently, he came from somewhere just outside of there, from some other group, and just kind of got adopted into Canaan. Just is the best as I've been able to understand the explanations.
I love that all this happened so long ago that it's like we're just kind of guessing. Our best guess. Thank you for the $5 from Inane Glory, who says humanity is sorry it sent Amir to us. I guess they're not sending their best.
$10 from the Atheist Mechanic. Aron, you and Matt and Seth in the Unholy Trinity helped me to deconstruct from the Methodist Church. I want to thank you all. Remember when I said almost daily I get messages like this?
Yep.
Here we go. Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Yep. $4.99 from Hannah Hodgins says hashtag we love Aron Ra too. There you go. You got to start like a hashtag competition on your other shows and drive up the engagement and create factionalism that will surely not bruise anyone's ego.
Yeah, lots of people praising you. The last person there finally says something for me. That's what happens when you get old and creepy looking.
Yeah, sure. I'll get there someday, Just let me cook a little longer.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we've covered everything we're supposed to do tonight. Sell yourself for a moment. Where can we see you? What's your next thing? Whatever.
Yeah, totally. So primarily, the most regularly you can see me is I am on TACIS most Thursdays. I also do my own stream. I'm always in conflict with Matt, so sorry. It's on Sundays and Wednesdays. If you want to see my show, my channel is at Luxander Real, and I am a trans non-binary person who mostly in the past, like my previous videos, you'll see a lot of trans politics or trans education. Some of my biggest videos are like explaining what non-binary means. Lately, I'm doing movie reviews. I'm in the middle of doing a Mulan movie review, making the argument that Mulan is trans. It's taking me more time than this project I would have anticipated. But so I'm going to start throwing more movie review type stuff out there. People are recommending movies for me to watch and review. I'm kind of sticking with queer movie reviews right now, or at least stuff that you can have a trans reading. Oh, recently I watched She's the Man with Amanda Bynes. What a silly movie that one is. So I did a little movie review of that. It's lighthearted stuff. I'm trying to get out of, the mire of talking about politics constantly. So yeah, that's where you can find me. 4-hour Mulan video essay. True.
I've been wanting to do a couple of movie reviews too, because there's a couple of movies that the message is very overt and irritating, and I would love to call attention to that. Some things that go under some people's radar. Yeah. Anyway, thank you again very, very much. I wish that we'd had the people that I was expecting to come on, and so we would have like a resident expert who can straighten me out or the other person out, because how do I know that either of our data is correct? But yeah,
we'll try again.
Of course,
soon.
Yep, they chicken out so they can call me a coward. Yep. Good to meet you. Hope to do something with you again soon.
Hell yeah.
Good night.
Become a patron. Join the Patreon. Get access to cool stuff. Send us super chats even when we're not online. I don't know.